the genius scientist of the Dragon King legend. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. Let the tiger go back to the mountains. The Abyss Saint felt that his body had become extremely heavy, as if a mountain was pressing on him. He began to fly rapidly in the opposite direction of the pseudo-black hole, but with it came a terrifying tearing feeling. The thrust of rapid flight, combined with the gravity of the pseudo-black hole, would bring about a terrifying tearing. The Abyss Saint's figure kept flickering, as if he wanted to use his spatial ability to get himself as far away from the gravitational range of the pseudo-black hole as possible. But in return, all he got was Guyuna's ridicule. Under the terrifying gravity, space had already been completely distorted. It was as if the originally straight road had been twisted into a twist. In this case, if he continued to walk along the road, no one knew where he would end up. Forget it, I won't tease you anymore. Guyuna smiled, and then swung the huge pseudo-black hole in her hand forward. The next moment, the pseudo-black hole began to move closer to the Abyss Saint on its own, and instantly swallowed up the Abyss Saint, who was trying to escape. Under the terrifying gravitational force, the body of the Abyss Saint was directly crushed and blended into a sphere that gradually became infinitely small. Of course, because Guyuna could not create a real black hole, it was naturally impossible to really squeeze the Abyss Saint to infinitesimal size. But even so, it was basically enough. If the whole body was crushed and squeezed into a ball, not many people would survive in this situation. It's almost done, so I'll stop here first. Thinking of this, Guyuna waved her hand lightly, and the simulated black hole slowly dissipated, and the terrifying gravitational force returned to normal. At the same time, this strange space was once again shrouded in silver light. When the light dissipated, the familiar earth, sky, and the newly born Pandora's tower reappeared in Guyuna's vision. Behind Guyuna, a thin purple mist was slowly floating, and the direction it was drifting was exactly the Abyss Passage located in the Snow Mountain. Guyuna seemed to be unaware of all this. Thanks to you this time. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled, and then said with some palpitations, I guessed that the appearance of Pandora's tower would inevitably bring about a huge commotion, and the Abyss Saint King of the Abyss Plane should also be able to detect it. But I didn't expect that he could ignore the blood god formation and freely travel between the Daoluo plane and the Abyss plane. Guyuna smiled. This is nothing. Now I can enter the Abyss plane at will, and I don't need to be as nervous as before. That makes sense. The strongest person in the Abyss plane should be the Abyss Saint King, right? Even it was beaten down by you, and no one in the Abyss plane can beat you. Tang Wulin said seriously. Jiang Xiaofeng frowned. I'm afraid it will suddenly fight to the death, such as destroying the Abyss plane at all costs, and condense all the power of the plane on itself to quickly become stronger. The purple mist that was going away suddenly stopped. Not to mention that this is equivalent to destroying one's own future. Even if it really dares to do so, it has no chance now. Guyuna smiled and said nonchalantly. That's right. Jiang Xiaofeng seemed to be relieved. The purple mist accelerated again and disappeared from the maximum field of vision of Jiang Xiaofeng and others in an instant. At the same time, Guyuna looked back and then laughed mockingly. It seems that it has been tricked. Jiang Xiaofeng chuckled. Yeah, I didn't expect you to be so scheming. Huh? What's going on? Tang Wulin looked at Jiang Xiaofeng and Guyuna in confusion. Why did he feel that the topic suddenly changed? Obviously, they were talking about a topic that he could understand the previous second, but the topic changed instantly in the next second. Could it be that he traveled through time at some unknown time? Jiang Xiaofeng pointed to his head. You can think of it as telepathy, although it actually relies on the brain. Anyway, this is the result of the increasing compatibility between me and Guyuna. The Abyss Saint is not dead. I deliberately left him a breath. Guyuna explained. After all, we still need him. Jiang Xiaofeng continued to add, the Abyss Saint is now seriously injured. Even if he wants to leave the Daoluo plane, he can't do it. Because if he can't find a suitable plane to devour, then he can only wait to die. and the universe is so vast that it may not be able to find another suitable plane, even if it is given 10,000 years. Therefore, the Abyss Saint can only choose to fight to the death with the Daoluo plane. But now, the Abyss Saint has known that there is an invincible existence like Gu Yuna. Will he really choose to fight to the death? Tang Wulin couldn't help but feel a little confused. Knowing that there is an invincible existence on the Daoluo continent, there are many people who would choose to lie down and wait for death. Maybe the Abyss Saint is one of them. Gu Yuna shook her head, but the Abyss Sage is very ambitious. Moreover, I created an illusion for it through the information gap. An illusion that it still has a chance to survive. The Abyss Sage is the Lord of the Plains, and the identity of the Lord of the Plains brings it powerful power. But because of this, its power is basically bound to the Abyss Plane. If the Abyss Sage swallows up the power of the entire Abyss Plane now, it can become even more powerful. Even the current Gu Yuna may not be able to win the battle. Although the power obtained in this way is rootless, it may even accelerate its death. But as long as the Abyss Sage completely occupies the Daoluo plane before, he can continue to live. For it, the previous occupation of the Daoluo plane was to become stronger, and now it is to survive. This is the only way for it to survive. Because of the existence of information gap, for the Abyss Sage, this method has a success rate of more than 60%. After all, for it, Gu Yuna is the only threat. Jiang Xiaofeng interjected. I see. Tang Wulin suddenly realized it only knows the existence of Gu Yuna. If it was just Gu Yuna, it might be able to defeat her in this way. But it doesn't know your existence, or the existence of the Genius Energy Bottle. This battle may make it think that the combat power of a second level god is your limit. Even if your strength is improved again, you will be at most a first level god. But it doesn't know that the reason it was able to defeat you this time is simply because the Genius Energy Bottle was used to open Pandora's box. By the time it comes to Daoluo continent again, the Genius Energy Bottle will probably have been made again. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled with great pride. Of course, the power of the Genius form. I have wanted to try it for a long time. Speaking of which, I have always been curious, what does the Genius form look like? Gu Yuna asked curiously. Tang Wulin's eyes lit up. Yes, your three forms of double rabbits, double tanks, and double phoenixes are all very handsome. Even the super enhanced form is so handsome. Then the final form of the creation rider must be even cooler, right? Point up yes. Asking for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Chapter 227 Restoring the Genius Energy Bottle. In Shrek Academy, the lights of a house were on all night. Jiang Xiaofeng was sitting in the room, constantly importing nebula gas into the blank energy bottle, and then purifying it to restore the energy bottle. At the same time, Gu Yuna was also debugging the green Pandora metal plate. Because of the opening of Pandora's box, the data stored in the metal plate was almost completely cleared. In this case, the restoration of the Genius Energy Bottle basically had to start all over again. The purification of the energy bottle takes time. In order to speed up the efficiency, Jiang Xiaofeng temporarily built several purification devices. In this way, more energy bottles can be purified simultaneously. But fortunately, Gu Yuna can already help Jiang Xiaofeng with some technical things. For example, the data import of the Pandora metal plate is now completed by Gu Yuna. The Abyss Saint was repelled by Gu Yuna, which bought time for the redevelopment of the Genius Energy Bottle. According to Gu Yuna's estimation, even if the Abyss Saint wanted to fight to the death, it would take several months of preparation time. But considering that the Abyss Saint had absorbed the energy of the Dark Thunderstorm, these energies might cause unknown changes to the Abyss Saint. In order to prepare for the worst, Jiang Xiaofeng set this time to half a month. In short, all preparations must be completed within half a month. At this time, more than half of the energy bottles have been restored. With these energy bottles, the progress of various tasks has also been accelerated. I'm done. Gu Yuna breathed a sigh of relief. With the press of the enter key, the Pandora metal panel began to fold, and the original metal plate turned into a brick-like object. Pandora Energy Bottle, which is the predecessor of the Genius Energy Bottle. Take a break, wait until all the energy bottles are purified, and then start importing the information of the energy bottles. While speaking, Jiang Xiaofeng took out the purified energy bottles from the purification device again. Gu Yuna nodded gently. Okay. She took out 5 energy bottles filled with nebula gas and put them into the purification device and pressed the button to start purification. After completing all this, Jiang Xiaofeng, who was temporarily free, also sat next to Gu Yuna. You said, can we succeed? Gu Yuna said softly. Although the process was a bit bumpy, now they have come to the last step of the plan made by Jiang Xiaofeng. Gather all the power of the abyss on the Abyss Saint and let it enter Daolo continent. Then use it as a cannonball to crash into the golden ancient tree and break through the firewall. Absorbing the power of the abyss plane is the only choice for the current Abyss Saint. The step of concentrating all the power of the abyss plane on the Abyss Saint has been completed. As for how to let the Abyss Saint come to Daolo continent in its prime, it has been quietly solved by the Dark Thunderstorm energy. Now it can enter and exit the Abyss channel at will. Now the last question is how to defeat the Abyss Saint and hit it towards the golden ancient tree. As for how to defeat the Abyss Saint, it should not be a problem to defeat it with the ultimate form of Kamen Rider Oboro and the power of the genius form of Creation Rider. It's just that the steps after that, there is almost no experimental data to support it, and it's all pure theory. In scientific research, it is absolutely taboo to put such a theory directly into practical use. But it is obvious that they do not have the conditions to obtain experimental data now. There is only one Abyss Saint, and they can only succeed once. Absolutely. Jiang Xiaofeng answered affirmatively. As long as this success, human cultivation will no longer need spirit rings and spirit bones. Not only that, spirit beasts will no longer produce these things after death. In this way, the most fundamental conflict between humans and spirit beasts will be erased. Not only that, whether it is humans or spirit beasts, their cultivation limit will be greatly improved. God level will no longer be a dream for them. If there is no Glizer, perhaps after this battle, their battle can be over. Gu Yuna smiled. Well, I think so too. The 4th day after the Abyss Saint escaped, Jiang Xiaofeng's busyness has not stopped, but the restoration of the genius energy bottle has reached the last step. On a large table, there is a strange shaped device, and Jiang Xiaofeng is inserting 60 energy bottles into a pile of pipes one by one. The pipes are specially equipped with slots for inserting energy bottles. There is a slot on each pipe, a total of 60 pipes. The 60 pipes seemed complicated, but their other ends were all connected around a relatively large groove. Gu Yuna took the Pandora energy bottle and inserted it into the most central groove. Jiang Xiaofeng, who had finished loading the 60 energy bottles, also quickly came to the computer. After taking a deep breath, Jiang Xiaofeng then hit the enter key. The next moment, the transparent pipes began to gradually glow and quickly spread from the end where the energy bottle was inserted to the other end. Not only that, the color of the light flashing in each pipe was different, and it looked quite gorgeous. That was the different information of the 60 energy bottles, and each color represented the power of an energy bottle. The power of all the energy bottles gathered together and all gathered in the Pandora energy bottle. With the influx of energy, the pattern of the Pandora energy bottle also flashed with colorful light. Don't you want to make a weapon for the genius form? Gu Yuna suggested. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. The ability of the genius form is too complex. No weapon can be the exclusive weapon of the genius form. The best way is to give the genius form the authority to call all weapons. It means switching different weapons according to the needs of the battle, right? Gu Yuna understood a little. Yes. Jiang Xiaofeng said, while paying close attention to the data displayed on the computer monitor. As the data was about to reach a peak, Jiang Xiaofeng pressed the stop button. At the same time, the light in the pipes began to dim from the ends where the energy bottles were inserted, and when the residual energy in the pipes was injected, the value on the display also reached the peak. Jiang Xiaofeng walked over quickly and took the Pandora energy bottle out of the groove. At this time, even though the energy injection had stopped, the surface of the Pandora energy bottle was still flashing with brilliant light. The next step is the last step. As he said, Jiang Xiaofeng took the Pandora energy bottle and walked into the device for purifying the energy bottle. Closing the door and putting on the blindfold, Jiang Xiaofeng began the final process. Then came a series of crackling sounds. Obviously, Jiang Xiaofeng was making the final modification to the Pandora energy bottle. Genius form? Gu Yuna muttered silently, then I can't fall behind. As she spoke, Gu Yuna sat cross-legged. Her cultivation had just broken through and was in a period of rapid growth. Taking advantage of this time, Gu Yuna also wanted to take her cultivation to a higher level. Chapter 228 Genius Energy Bottle and White Metal Plate. Abyssal Plane. At this moment, the abyssal plane is collapsing rapidly. All the abyssal creatures are broken into pieces, turned into smoke, and finally all rush to one point. And this point is exactly the center of the abyssal plane collapse. With the gathering of a huge amount of power, illusory figures slowly appear. The energy first gathers to form an illusory head, then torso and limbs. After the human figure is completely condensed, the power generated by the collapse of the abyssal plane begins to fill it, making the illusory figure gradually become solid. And until this time, this figure has a certain degree of recognition. Abyssal Saint. At this moment, the Abyssal Saint is constantly devouring the plane through the authority of the Lord of the Plane to repair itself. Not only that, it also has to devour the entire plane to obtain enough power to defeat Gu Yuna. In that strange realm, the battle that was like a play, every detail shattered the pride of the Abyssal Saint. From then on, the Abyssal Saint vowed in his heart that no matter how much it cost, Gu Yuna would pay it all back. Soon. The Abyss Saint muttered silently, soon, I will be able to gain power beyond yours. The Abyss plane is undergoing a huge change. Gu Yuna suddenly opened her eyes. Has it started? As she spoke, Gu Yuna emptied her mind and carefully felt the changes in the Abyss plane. The aura of the Abyss plane seems to have weakened a lot, but its position relative to the Daoluo plane has not changed, and the Abyss channel is still not disconnected. In other words, the aura of the Abyss plane has weakened not because it is moving away from the Daoluo plane. At this point, Gu Yuna couldn't help but smile sarcastically. Then, there is only one answer left. You took the bait. A huge explosion suddenly came, interrupting Gu Yuna's thoughts. Hearing this familiar sound, Gu Yuna subconsciously looked at the wall. As she expected, the small window on the wall had been opened. And in the small window, there was a familiar energy bottle that had almost never been used. The Genius Energy Bottle. It's done. Jiang Xiaofeng walked out of the experimental chamber and took out the Genius Energy Bottle from the multifunctional purification chamber. As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng gently tapped the top of the Genius Energy Bottle. In an instant, the Genius Energy Bottle seemed to come alive, and the center of it also emitted a dazzling light. Great, oh yeah, not only that, Gu Yuna also truly felt the power contained in the Genius Energy Bottle for the first time. It was a mysterious power full of infinite possibilities. The Genius form not only has the abilities of all the previous forms of the Creation Rider, but under certain circumstances, the Genius form can even create new abilities. Now it seems that there is really no problem. Jiang Xiaofeng also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The requirements of the Genius form are extremely demanding, and even the battle rabbit occasionally cannot use the Genius form. Although there is no official transformation, since I can activate the Genius Energy Bottle, I should have passed the level. Then, at that time, let the Genius form exist as a surprise weapon. The Abyss Saint Lord cannot know the existence of the Genius form. Gu Yuna suggested, I will fight the Abyss Saint Lord first, lure him into going deeper by showing weakness, and gradually shift the battlefield to the vicinity of the Golden Ancient Tree. And, if my guess is correct, this is also the result that the Abyss Saint Lord wants. In its view, if it wants to invade the Daoluo plane, it must use the Golden Ancient Tree as a medium. After confirming that the Abyss Saint Lord has entered the vicinity of the Golden Ancient Tree, you transform into the Genius form and join the war, and we will join forces to fight against the Abyss Saint Lord. Yeah. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded, then raised his hand and made a gesture to prepare for a high five. One success, and the feud between humans and soul beasts will end from now on. Gu Yuna couldn't help rolling her eyes. Childish, do you think this is cool? Having said that, Gu Yuna still stretched out her hand and clapped hands with Jiang Xiaofeng. One success. Speaking of which, Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the Pandora's box on the table beside him. We should be able to take out the white Pandora metal plate. Since the Pandora's box was opened, the Pandora's box has become a hollow cube, inlaid with 6 metal plates. One of the metal plates was made into a genius energy bottle, so there is naturally a gap in the Pandora's box now. While talking, Jiang Xiaofeng took out his dangerous trigger and walked to the side of the Pandora's box. I have partial control over the Pandora's box, so I should be able to do the same thing as Long Wo. Jiang Xiaofeng took a deep breath and slowly put the dangerous trigger into the gap at the top of the Pandora's box. The next moment, a force flowed out from Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, with the dangerous trigger as the transfer, and finally entered Pandora's box. A strong golden light followed, and Pandora's box was responding to the energy input through the dangerous trigger. Jiang Xiaofeng let go of his hand, but the dangerous trigger that lost its support did not fall to the bottom of Pandora's box, but continued to float above Pandora's box. Strange electric currents were constantly released from the dangerous trigger, and Pandora's box was also refining the power released by the dangerous trigger. Finally, a white light was released. At the top of Pandora's box, white light particles quickly gathered and finally aggregated into a white metal plate. It's done. Jiang Xiaofeng picked up the white metal plate, and his hanging heart was finally put down for the most part. How to make a white hole trigger can be solved slowly, but Jiang Xiaofeng is afraid that he can't refine the white metal plate. You know, in the original TV, the only one who can refine the white Pandora metal plate is Wan's Hang Lang Wo, not even Albert. If the white metal plate cannot be refined, then everything will be in vain. Even if they succeed in changing the laws of Daoluo continent and allowing humans and soul beasts to have a basis for coexistence, it will only be the afterglow of the setting sun. Without the power to defeat Glizer, how long can the Daoluo plane exist after it is completely born? 5 years? 10 years? Or the next moment? Is this the metal plate with the power of the white hole? Gu Yuna touched the metal plate in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand with some curiosity, but I don't feel any power. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. The power of the black metal plate needs the lost energy bottle to activate, and the same is true for the white metal plate. I understand the manufacturing process of the lost energy bottle, but before the genius form is born, I dare not make it. After all, the lost energy bottle also needs to be refined. And if there is no genius form, the lost energy bottle can only be refined at the cost of human life. Chapter 229 Lost Energy Bottle, Transferring Shrek. Lost Energy Bottle. Unlike the initial 60 energy bottles, the lost energy bottle is artificially synthesized and can be directly integrated into the human body. Normally, if the human body is injected with nebula gas, it will become a monster called a slammer. The lost slammer transformed by the lost energy bottle is much stronger than the ordinary slammer. Of course, rapid strength must come with a price. Once the lost slammer is defeated, his body and soul will completely perish. After the dissipation, the lost energy bottle in his body will remain and can be refined. After the refinement of the lost energy bottle, the whole body will turn black. Only the lost energy bottle that has been refined can activate this white metal plate. In short, the lost energy bottle can only be refined at the cost of life. But now, the situation is different. The genius energy bottle has been born. With the power of the genius energy bottle, the nebula gas can be accurately neutralized. The final result is a refined lost energy bottle without any side effects. Of course, it cannot be said that there are no side effects at all. The process of the lost energy bottle integrating into the human body is still quite painful. It seems that there should be 10 lost energy bottles, or 5 sets of best matches, right? Gu Yuna looked at the 10 slots on the white metal plate and made a rough guess. Not entirely correct. Jiang Xiaofeng replied, there are indeed 10 lost energy bottles, and they are 5 inorganic systems and 5 organic systems. But they don't have any relationship of best match. There are 10 lost energy bottles in total, divided into 5 organic systems and 5 inorganic systems. Organic system, bat, cobra, owl, stag beetle, zebra. Inorganic system, castle, hammer, CD, wrench, scissors. These energy bottles are independent of each other, and there is no relationship of best match. Speaking of which, Shrek Academy also needs to organize an evacuation. Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly remembered, the battlefield must be next to the golden ancient tree, and your domain cannot be deployed yet. If you fight like this, there will inevitably be heavy casualties here. Gu Yuna thought about it, nodded first, and then shook her head. It makes sense, but it's not safe. There are a lot of buildings in Shrek City. If you just evacuate Shrek's personnel and leave a large area of luxurious empty houses, I'm worried that the Abyss Saint will be suspicious. Think about it. If someone sees a big city with extremely complete facilities, but there is no one in the city, anyone will feel weird. If it is a timid person, he may slip away on the spot. If this person is replaced by the Abyss Saint, although he may not slip away directly, he will at least be a lot more vigilant, which will bring a lot of variables to the battle plan. Let's do this. Gu Yuna made up her mind. I will move Shrek City later, including the people and houses. Then I will move the vegetation from other places, and pretend that it has been uninhabited for a long time. Jiang Xiaofeng's eyes lit up. What are you going to do? Space ability. Gu Yuna snapped her fingers. Now I can do this, as long as I choose the transfer location in advance. Space transfer doesn't take too much time. It's mainly the preparation and follow-up work that takes time. It is definitely not possible to transfer such a large area without preparing a large piece of open space in advance. Moreover, the city is not just the surface area. There are also complex underground pipelines and other facilities underground. And Gu Yuna can't just move the underground together and leave a big hole there. Therefore, it takes time to relocate the personnel after the transfer. Fortunately, these are not issues that Gu Yuna needs to worry about too much. After all, she is now in a high position and can leave it to her subordinates. Then there is no time to delay and start preparing now. The 8th day of the escape of the Abyss Saint. The target location for Shrek's transfer has been determined, and it is an empty space with no one. After the transfer of Shrek Academy is completed, Gu Yuna will transfer another forest. It is reasonable that there are lush trees around the golden ancient tree. As for the destination of Shrek Academy's transfer, Gu Yuna has already arranged enough people to pick it up. After everything is ready, Gu Yuna transforms into Kamen Rider Oboro again, the ultimate form. It is not a small project to directly transfer an entire city with spatial ability. Therefore, Gu Yuna also needs to give her all. Compared with 8 days ago, Gu Yuna is now much stronger. After completing the final evolution, Gu Yuna's cultivation will have a period of rapid increase. The most straightforward analogy is to describe it directly with soul power. Gu Yuna, who just completed the final evolution 8 days ago, had a soul power cultivation of level 100. Then her current soul power cultivation is level 102. It seems that it is not necessarily right. According to the Daolo continent, if you break through level 100, it can't be called soul power. Call it divine power. Moreover, along with Gu Yuna's breakthrough in cultivation, the attributes and quality of soul power have undergone earth-shaking changes. In layman's terms, the current divine power can be 10 soul powers. Of course, this high-speed improvement will not last long. If you can reach level 103 within a month, you can brag about it. If you consider the long-term foundation, you may have to lower your cultivation. Jiang Xiaofeng knows a little about cultivation below the god level. After all, when he was in Shrek Academy, he read a lot of books about cultivation and saw many soul master samples. But now, Gu Yuna's cultivation has reached the god level and above, and the previous cultivation experience is basically of no reference value. According to Gu Yuna, the difficulty of cultivation above the god level is comparable to breaking through the limit Daolo level. It was precisely with such cultivation that Gu Yuna took less than half a day to move all of Shrek Academy away and moved a piece of primeval forest to cover the land. The 11th day of the escape of the Abyss Saint. The aftermath of the forest in the original Shrek City area was completed. If the original forest was placed here, it would look very abrupt and out of tune with the surrounding environment. But now the forest seems to be extremely harmonious with the surroundings, as if it should be like this. The 16th day after the Abyss Saint Lord escaped, the resettlement of residents in Shrek City has been completed. Everything has been prepared, waiting for the Abyss Saint Lord to enter Daolo continent. And 4 days later, a strong space vibration came from the Abyss plane again. Gu Yuna could feel that the Abyss plane was collapsing rapidly, as if the internal energy dropped to a critical point, while the external frame remained unchanged. Without the internal support, the Abyss plane began to collapse. Then, the day of this decisive battle is coming soon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Destroying the Abyss Passage. The 21st day of the Abyss Saint Lord's escape. The breath of the Abyss plane completely disappeared, but the breath of the Abyss Saint Lord was gradually sensed by Gu Yuna. Is it because the absorbed energy is too huge that the dark thunderstorm energy cannot completely permeate every part of the Abyss Saint Lord, causing its breath to become difficult to hide? Gu Yuna thought to herself. It seems that this battle is coming. Thinking of this, Gu Yuna instantly came to the Abyss Passage of the Snow Mountain. At this moment, the Blood God Corps stationed beside the Abyss Passage had already withdrawn under Gu Yuna's order. At this time, it is meaningless for the Blood God Corps to continue to stay here. After all, the current Abyss plane can basically be said to have been destroyed, and naturally there can be no more Abyss creatures, except the Abyss Saint Lord. If the Blood God Corps continues to be stationed here, it will easily become a burden. The Abyss Saint Lord is coming, and I'm already in place. Gu Yuna closed her eyes and concentrated on passing the information to Jiang Xiaofeng. Received. The Abyss channel suppressed by the Blood God formation continued to tremble strangely, and these tremors made the Blood God formation more and more illusory, as if it could collapse at any time. In fact, it was true. The Blood God formation, which was not guarded by anyone, was weak. In addition, the tremors of the Abyss channel were also unprecedented in scale. The collapse of the Blood God formation was only a matter of time. Finally, a roar that soared into the sky sounded, and the Blood God formation completely collapsed. A monster tens of meters tall slowly walked out of it, and every step it took made the earth tremble. Gu Yuna sneered, because you absorbed too much power that you can't control, you turned yourself into this kind of monster? It seems that some steps are really redundant. As Gu Yuna said, the current Abyss Saint has absorbed too much power that he can't control. This also caused it to become a monster, like it is now. Not only that, these powers also overwhelmed the reason of the Abyss Saint. The current Abyss Saint will only act according to his deepest obsession. For example, defeating Gu Yuna. Another example is occupying the Golden Ancient Tree. Defeating Gu Yuna is the strong obsession of the Abyss Saint to seek revenge. And occupying the Golden Ancient Tree is because it may make it recover. After all, the Abyss Saint's reason is only submerged, not completely swallowed. But because of this, many plans have become much simpler. Now even if Gu Yuna and Jiang Xiaofeng's plan is directly stated in front of the Abyss Saint, there will be no problem. Then come. As soon as the voice fell, a bird cry sounded. Extreme Dragon Stream World, are you ready? Looking at the Abyss Saint who was roaring and rushing towards her, Gu Yuna whispered. Henshin, the armor was instantly put on. At the same time, the super compressed air wall also condensed in front of Gu Yuna instantly, and thunder continued to strike fiercely in the sky, blocking the steps of the Abyss Saint. Ultimate evolution, perfect ultimate dragon, create the extreme world. The next moment, Gu Yuna spread her wings and soared into the sky, flying rapidly into the distance. The Abyss Saint, who had lost his mind, naturally could not think too much. With a pair of wings made up of countless tiny insects spread, the Abyss Saint followed closely behind. The plan went better than expected. But just in case, you should cut off the retreat route according to the original plan, before entering the battlefield. Although Gu Yuna could use her spatial ability to directly transfer herself to the Golden Ancient Tree, she needed to prevent the Abyss Saint from losing her. After all, the Abyss Saint couldn't find the way, and if he was left wandering around the Daoluo continent, he would cause a lot of trouble. Soon, the figures of Gu Yuna and the Abyss Saint gradually disappeared from the field of vision, leaving only the empty snow-capped mountains and a person hiding in the corner. Jiang Xiaofeng slowly walked out of the corner and looked up at Gu Yuna and the Abyss Saint who were gradually going away. Then let me take care of this passage, Jiang Xiaofeng said as he put the driver on his waist. Maximum hazard on tank and tank. As Jiang Xiaofeng kept turning the joystick, the black metal frame extended. In the distance, several blue tank components were approaching. Are you ready? Henshin overflow. The metal frame suddenly closed, covering Jiang Xiaofeng with the dangerous rabbit tank armor. The tank components also flew over quickly, one by one, and were installed on Jiang Xiaofeng's head, torso and limbs. Deep blue steel warrior tank. Dual tank form. Super dangerous. Super strong. If it's just to destroy the abyss passage, the current dual tank form should be able to do it. As for the genius form, Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. There's no need to waste it. The full energy bottle destroyer appeared in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand in cannon mode. After a brief thought, Jiang Xiaofeng began to slowly load energy bottles into the full energy bottle destroyer. Tank rocket camera card ultimate match Tisu use the power of decade, and then use the tank and rocket energy bottles to amplify it. And this is already the maximum output power of the full energy bottle destroyer. But this is not the maximum output power that can be achieved in the double tank form. Jiang Xiaofeng turned the joystick again. Ready go hazard finish tank finish at this moment. The tank's blessing for long range attacks has still reached the extreme. Coupled with the superposition of double kills, the power of this attack has reached a terrifying level. And this attack is also the most powerful attack that Jiang Xiaofeng has ever made in normal conditions. The magenta energy cannon mixed with blue light bombarded the abyss channel. Without the maintenance of the abyss plane, the abyss channel is extremely fragile, and the power of decade is specifically aimed at destroying the dimension. Boom. The snow on the top of the snow mountain began to loosening the strong vibration and slid down the mountain. Avalanche. This was an avalanche that swept the entire mountain range, and it was also the largest avalanche in the history of Dao continent. But this series of chain reactions had already been calculated, so there were no residents around the entire snow mountain range. Under this blow, there was no possibility of the abyss passage surviving. And this was indeed the case. The abyss passage became fragmented under this blow. It was the collapse of the abyss passage that triggered this avalanche. Call it a day. Jiang Xiaofeng put down the fully loaded energy bottle destroyer in his hand and looked at everything in front of him with pride. You can't run away now. Don't show off. Come and help. Jiang Xiaofeng heard Gu Yuna's unpleasant voice in his mind. Having absorbed the power of the entire plane, the current abyss saint is still quite strong. Here we go. Chapter 231 Ace's Ecstasy version. Saint of the Abyss. Jiang Xiaofeng took out the eraser energy bottle and inserted it into the full bottle destroyer. Heshigomu, eraser, gently buckled the handle of the full bottle destroyer, turned it into a giant blade mode, and slashed forward. Full bottle break. Full bottle break. As Jiang Xiaofeng slashed, a huge eraser appeared out of thin air and instantly erased his figure. Around the golden ancient tree, a huge pit suddenly appeared on the ground, followed by a huge roar. Next to the pit was the huge body of the Abyss Saint, and its hand was stuck in the pit with a fist. There is no doubt that this pit is the masterpiece of the Abyss Saint. But if you look closely, you will find that the hand of the Abyss Saint is not completely stuck. Under its huge fist, there is a tiny figure holding it firmly. Such a picture looks so inconsistent. The attack of a giant was blocked by an ant, and it was Gu Yuna who blocked the attack of the Abyss Saint. Using both hands to block the blow was enough to show that it was not so easy to take it. And even if Gu Yuna blocked the blow, she could not completely dissipate its impact. The deep pit under her feet was proof of this. Blue light flashed in Gu Yuna's eyes, and the ice continued to spread along Gu Yuna's hands, instantly freezing the right arm of the Abyss Saint that was in contact with it. After completing all this, Gu Yuna suddenly exerted force. With a crisp cracking sound, the ice on the right arm of the Abyss Saint, along with its right arm, instantly turned into countless ice chips and fell to the ground. The Abyss Saint, who suddenly lost his right arm, had an unstable center of gravity and his body could not help but fall forward. At this moment, Gu Yuna used her spatial ability to teleport into the air and then waved her hand violently. A huge rock spear that penetrated the sky and the earth instantly condensed in the air. Not only that, the rock spear was covered with high temperature flames. In theory, such a high temperature should be enough to melt the rock spear inside, and the rock is not enough to withstand such a high temperature. But, such an unreasonable thing happened. The next moment, a huge rock spear burning with blazing flames slammed into the wound of the Abyss Saint's broken arm. A nuclear explosion like roar rang out. A strong airflow, carrying a pungent smell of burning, instantly spread. The rock spear covered with flames pierced the Abyss Saint's chest horizontally from the broken arm and nailed it firmly to the ground. In terms of common sense, a large number of important organs in the human body are located in the chest, such as the heart and lungs. Once these organs are damaged, they will definitely be either dead or disabled. And now, not only did the huge rock spear penetrate them all, but the flames attached to the rock spear also burned all these organs. But even in this situation, the vitality of the Abyss Saint did not decrease at all. The broken body of the Abyss Saint suddenly exerted force and forcibly broke free from the rock spear. The price was that the chest was completely torn apart. Gu Yuna waved her hand again, and the terrifying thunder suddenly descended from the sky, continuously bombarding the broken body of the Abyss Saint. But the Abyss Saint King seemed to be insensitive to everything. His broken body was repairing at a high speed, and his short limbs were beginning to regenerate. Even though the thunder was constantly destroying his body tissues, it could not stop the Abyss Saint King from recovering his limbs. It seems that he has completely merged with the Abyss Plane. Gu Yuna panted slightly. It's a bit tricky, but it's just what I want. Completely merging with the Abyss Plane gave the Abyss Saint King enormous power, but the excessive power also destroyed the Abyss Saint King's body. His current body can be said to be based on the plane core as the center, and the Abyss energy is barely pieced together. But in this way, unless his plane core is directly destroyed, he will be immortal before the energy of the Abyss Plane is completely exhausted. Before his body was fully recovered, the Abyss Saint King carried the thunder and roared towards Gu Yuna. Gu Yuna did not move, but just gently closed her eyes. A seemingly weak airflow gently wrapped him up. The next moment, the huge body of the Abyss Saint King crashed into Gu Yuna. However, it seemed that the Abyss Saint King was not hitting Gu Yuna, but a blade that was extremely sharp. Its body was cut open without any suspense and fell. The whole process was almost without any pause. This is a fluid with zero friction. Theoretically, when the friction of the fluid is truly zero, it can directly cut the black hole. It is also called an ideal fluid. Of course, this kind of power is not something Gu Yuna can master. All she can do is to minimize the friction of the fluid. But even so, it is enough to instantly cut the body of the Abyss Saint King. It's a pity that it can't cause any real effective damage. The moment the Abyss Saint King landed, the wounds that penetrated its arms and chest were completely healed. An opponent who has no pain, no fear, and never feels tired, no matter how badly it is hit, it can recover in an instant. It is indeed a tricky enemy. The most important thing is that you know where its weaknesses are, but you can't attack it. Moreover, if it is in this state, Jiang Xiaofeng's plan cannot be completed. TSK. In the moment, when the thought flashed through her mind, Gu Yuna and the Abyss Saint Lord had several more battles. And every time the battle seemed to be Gu Yuna's advantage, but in fact, Gu Yuna was constantly slipping into disadvantage. Every time she attacked, she could not cause effective damage to the Abyss Saint Lord. Instead, her own divine power and physical strength were constantly being consumed. At this moment, a huge eraser appeared out of thin air and erased a blue figure. It seems that I came at the right time. Jiang Xiaofeng, who was in the dual tank form, looked around, then removed the dangerous trigger and energy bottle from the drive, and took out the genius energy bottle. Obviously, this level of battle is no longer necessary, and we can't hold back. Gentle tapping on the interface of the genius energy bottle. The genius energy bottle was instantly activated, emitting a dazzling light. Great, outstanding, oh yeah, omnipotent. The genius energy bottle was turned upside down, and then suddenly inserted into the drive. Genius. As the joystick kept turning, the blue platform slowly rose under Jiang Xiaofeng's feet. Yeah. A large number of complex devices such as wheels, tracks, and hydraulics continued to appear, carrying all 60 grey energy bottles. These energy bottles all surrounded Jiang Xiaofeng, waiting for his final command. Are you ready? Henshin. The golden build knight emblem suddenly appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, and suddenly stuck to Jiang Xiaofeng's chest. White lines began to spread from the golden emblem. With a flash of white light, Jiang Xiaofeng's body was covered by a brand new set of white armor. The surrounding energy bottles also emitted their own brilliance at this moment. The golden track connected the armor with the device behind it and began to continuously transport the energy bottles to the armor. The perfect energy bottle warrior built genius. As the energy bottles continued to be inserted into the slots of the armor, the gray and white pipes originally surrounding the armor began to appear in various colors. These pipes are connected to the golden emblem on the chest of Kamen Rider. It is the core reaction furnace of the genius form, gathering the components of all the energy bottles. Not only that, it seems to contain enough power to create miracles. Awesome. Super awesome. All the energy bottles were embedded, and all the auxiliary devices began to be removed, leaving only a blue platform for Jiang Xiaofeng to stand. As Jiang Xiaofeng slowly walked down the steps, the blue platform was also removed. Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider, Genius Form. First appearance on Daolo continent. This is the culmination of the Kamen Rider system, gathering the power of all energy bottles, and all abilities have reached the ultimate state. The Genius Form has more than just the power that appeared in the energy bottles of the past. It can also respond to the user's wishes and create new power. Chapter 232 Build Genius. Feeling the power pouring from the 60 energy bottles all over his body, Jiang Xiaofeng looked up at the Abyss Saint. 4 energy bottles began to emit brilliance, which meant that the power of 4 energy bottles was activated. Rabbit energy bottle, acceleration. Watch energy bottle, time acceleration. Wolf energy bottle, acceleration. Tram energy bottle activated, electromagnetic acceleration. The power of 4 consecutive energy bottles was activated, and the superposition of 4 accelerations allowed Jiang Xiaofeng's speed to reach an unprecedented level. Compared with this, the speed of the double rabbit form is simply slow motion. Moreover, this is not the ultimate speed of the genius form. As long as the power of the bubble form and the power of the double rabbit form are superimposed, the speed can be soared again. However, Jiang Xiaofeng could not control this speed. No matter how fast the speed is, if it cannot be flexibly controlled, it is better not to have it. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng did not deliberately increase the speed to the extreme. Before the Abyss Saint had reacted, Jiang Xiaofeng had already arrived behind it. Gorilla energy bottle, fist power enhancement. Hedgehog energy bottle, armor cutting, internal attack. This attack was just a test. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng did not strengthen his fist attack too much. The most important thing is that Jiang Xiaofeng needs to collect detailed information about the Abyss Saint. Before coming, Gu Yuna had already informed him of the state of the Abyss Saint through telepathy. No pain, no fear, tirelessness, etc. Now its flesh is like an overproliferated tumor, tightly wrapping the plain core. If the Abyss Saint and the Golden Ancient Tree collide like this, the probability of failure will exceed 70%. There is only one chance, and the failure rate is more than 70%. Such a result is unacceptable to anyone. So Jiang Xiaofeng needs to collect more information. And this is exactly what the genius form is good at. The boxing gloves and combat boots of the genius form can instantly analyze the composition and ingredients of the objects it touches. In this case, unless the strength difference is too large, the longer the battle time, the greater the advantage of the genius form. Along with Jiang Xiaofeng's attack, white spikes instantly grew on the chest of the Abyss Saint. This is the power of the Hedgehog energy bottle. But even so, the Abyss Saint still did not pause at all, but punched Jiang Xiaofeng directly. Jiang Xiaofeng raised his left arm to block, and at the moment of raising his hand, his left arm was covered with a layer of diamonds. The huge fist of the Abyss Saint did not shake Jiang Xiaofeng at all. Diamond energy bottle, physical immunity. At the same time, Jiang Xiaofeng punched with his right arm instantly, knocking the Abyss Saint directly away. Looking at the Abyss Saint who stood up and rushed over again, Jiang Xiaofeng made a boxing-like starting posture, and his fists gradually ignited flames. Dragon energy bottle, combat enhancement. Phoenix energy bottle, flame. At this moment, Jiang Xiaofeng was like a fighting expert, constantly dodging the attack of the Abyss Saint's huge body, and once he seized the opportunity, he punched instantly. The power of the entire Abyss plane is all compressed in the plane core, causing the plane core to be on the verge of breaking. Jiang Xiaofeng kept analyzing the information collected by the Night System and quickly thinking about countermeasures. In Jiang Xiaofeng's perception, the plane core was already covered with dense cracks, as if it could explode at any time. The body of the Abyss Saint was formed by the power that continuously seeped out of the cracks. If it is such a plane core, it will definitely break first when it collides with the golden ancient tree. So, I need to repair this plane core. The power of the genius form should be able to do it, but Jiang Xiaofeng blocked the attack of the Abyss Saint with one hand and quickly turned the joystick with the other hand. One side at this moment, all the energy bottles of the organic system lit up, and the reaction furnace on the chest also lit up half. The light of these energy bottles continued to flow along the pipes, and finally all gathered in the right fist. Ready go at the moment when the Abyss Saint rushed over again. Jiang Xiaofeng swung his right fist fiercely. Genius attack gathering the power of all the organic energy bottles. The body of the Abyss Saint was almost instantly defeated, revealing the plane core that looked like black jade. However, the purification energy of the genius form was also blocked by the surface layer of flesh and could not be transmitted to the plane core. In short, this attack is still an invalid attack. Just when Jiang Xiaofeng wanted to take this opportunity to pass the purification energy over, the body of the Abyss Saint was instantly repaired in the next moment, and the core of the plane was covered again. Help to delay the time. Jiang Xiaofeng shouted loudly. Jiang Xiaofeng needs a relatively quiet environment to think about countermeasures. It doesn't need to be too good, but it is absolutely not okay to deal with the battle while thinking about countermeasures like now. As soon as the voice fell, a huge ice cone fell down, nailing the Abyss Saint firmly in place. The yellow wings spread out instantly, driving Jiang Xiaofeng out of the battlefield. Seeing that Jiang Xiaofeng was about to fly away, the Abyss Saint roared and wanted to get out of the ice cone. But the next moment, the terrifying gravity was instantly applied to the Abyss Saint, making its movements extremely slow. At this point, Gu Yuna completely took over the battlefield. Jiang Xiaofeng also put his mind at ease and began to concentrate on thinking about the plan. As Jiang Xiaofeng's thoughts continued to spread, a large number of mathematical formulas and various images in his memory began to appear around him. Thoughts materialized? It doesn't seem like it. Gu Yuna took the time to look at Jiang Xiaofeng and then continued to fight with the Abyss Saint. This is a thinking aid device in the genius form. In addition to projecting past images and data, it can also materialize the formulas and calculations that the user thinks of in his mind, thereby helping the user to organize his thoughts. Not only that, it also has the ability to share thoughts, so that the user's battle plan can be directly shared with teammates. In this way, various battle plans can be flexibly used in battle. The power of the genius form can indeed repair the core of the plane. But because of the existence of this tumor-like energy, the power of the genius form cannot penetrate it. Moreover, this layer of tumor proliferates too fast. Even if the plane core is directly knocked out, a new tumor will be generated instantly. One plan after another was born in Jiang Xiaofeng's mind, but one after another was denied by Jiang Xiaofeng. If there is any way to slow down the growth of the tumor, Jiang Xiaofeng looked up at the images projected around him. Suddenly, one of the images attracted Jiang Xiaofeng's attention. Maybe it can work. Chapter 233 The End of Genius. The moment the method was confirmed, a complete battle plan was conceived in Jiang Xiaofeng's mind. And this battle plan was instantly shared with Gu Yuna's mind. The next moment, Gu Yuna took off again. The Abyss Saint naturally could not let Gu Yuna go. Even in this state of complete irrationality, he still retained the instinct of hatred for Gu Yuna. But the fierce eagle-shaped energy bomb suppressed him, and he could not get up for a while. Jiang Xiaofeng was holding two eagle Gatling guns in his hands, pouring firepower towards the Abyss Saint. There was only one eagle Gatling gun, and the other was made by Jiang Xiaofeng on the spot. The universal construction device was installed on the shoulder armor of the genius form, which could instantly create experimental equipment and even new devices in a way similar to 3D printing. It was this device that allowed Jiang Xiaofeng to instantly construct a new eagle Gatling gun. And with the power of the genius form, the power of the eagle bullet has also increased dramatically. Now, each bullet of the eagle Gatling gun has the power to match the initial form's ultimate kill. Because of this, as a weapon in the initial stage of the Creation Rider, it was able to suppress the Abyss Saint for a short time. The Abyss Saint, who was continuously attacked by the Eagle Gatling gun, roared and leaped up forcefully under the impact of the Eagle bullets. Its huge body rushed to Jiang Xiaofeng almost instantly. At this moment, a layer of diamond barrier suddenly appeared in front of it, resisting the impact of the Abyss Saint. Gorilla Energy Bottle, Strange Power. Jiang Xiaofeng supported the diamond barrier with both hands, and began to try to counter the impact of the Abyss Saint with Strange Power. But even with the strange power of the gorilla, the two sides were just deadlocked in the air. Seeing this, Jiang Xiaofeng took a deep breath. Since the power of the Gorilla Energy Bottle alone can't suppress you, how about trying this trick? Rocket Energy Bottle converts high-speed flight ability into propulsion power. Pirate Energy Bottle converts wind into propulsion power. Tram Energy Bottle, electromagnetic propulsion. Using the power of 3 energy bottles in succession to strengthen the propulsion, the instantaneous explosive force brought about by this move made it impossible for the Abyss Saint to resist. The next moment, the powerful propulsion force made Jiang Xiaofeng slam the Abyss Saint into the ground. And this powerful impact force once again set off an impact like a small nuclear explosion on the surface. Gu Yuna was quietly in the distance. First of all, Gu Yuna did not betray, she was just simply preparing for the next attack. After all, this move was only the second time she used it, and such a move needs to be used as a decisive move, which is really a bit stressful. All the power is concentrated on this attack, and it will be stagnant instantly. This is what Gu Yuna wants to do. For this reason, Gu Yuna needs to use a special move to bless this attack. The joystick began to turn slowly. Ready, go, prepare, go, stream finish, ultimate end. Gu Yuna released the joystick with her right hand and made a light move. 9-color light instantly bloomed in Gu Yuna's hand and finally gathered into a crystal-like spear. This was the Silver Dragon Spear. Perhaps it was infected by Jiang Xiaofeng. After it completed its evolution, it was simply and roughly renamed the Extreme Dragon Spear by Gu Yuna. Powerful power continued to condense into the Extreme Dragon Spear, and the surrounding temperature continued to drop as Gu Yuna accumulated power. Finally, in this midsummer season, a snowflake slowly fell from the sky. With the first snowflake, there will be a second one. Soon, a heavy snow fell down. The Extreme Dragon Spear also became like ice at this moment. Get out of the way, Gu Yuna shouted loudly. As Gu Yuna's voice fell, 7 figures instantly separated from Jiang Xiaofeng, and all of them tightly entangled the Abyss Saint in the form of geniuses. Jiang Xiaofeng also took this opportunity to stay away from the Abyss Saint. The Ninja Energy Bottle and the Comic Energy Bottle combined their power to form clones. The 7 clones tightly grasped the Abyss Saint, making it difficult for it to get away for a while. And the ice spear in Gu Yuna's hand was also thrown down at this moment. The ice spear hit the Abyss Saint accurately, but it did not penetrate him. Instead, it merged into the body of the Abyss Saint like water. At this moment, the Abyss Saint's action stopped for the first time. The clone quickly dissipated, and Jiang Xiaofeng rushed over again with a full energy bottle destroyer. Several energy bottles for acceleration have been activated, making the speed of the genius form reach an extreme. The full energy bottle destroyer was also filled with energy bottles of the double rabbit form by Jiang Xiaofeng. Full match Tisu. Full match. The giant blade flashing with red light was raised high and then chopped down suddenly. Full match break. Full match break. Accompanied by a crisp breaking sound, the body of the Abyss Saint was shattered and the jade-like plane core was exposed. The plane core was covered with dense cracks and a layer of frost. But this time, the body of the Abyss Saint did not regenerate immediately. In other words, the plane core was stagnant. Jiang Xiaofeng would not miss this one-time opportunity, and the joystick on the Creation Rider driver began to rotate rapidly. One side Jiaku side all side ready go at this moment. All the energy bottles on the genius form were emitting brilliance. This was a blow that combined the power of all the energy bottles, and it was also the strongest blow of the genius form. The colorful solid parabola instantly fixed the remains of the Abyss Saint. Jiang Xiaofeng, who was emitting colorful light, jumped high and performed a flying kick along the path of the parabola. Genius finish. The colorful light converged along Jiang Xiaofeng's feet to the plane core, slowly repairing the cracks on the surface of the plane core. The extra remains were instantly decomposed by the power of many energy bottles, leaving only the repaired plane core. But this blow did not end, and the next one was the legendary anti-gravity kick. The flying kick of the genius finish, along with the core of the abyss plane, kicked the golden ancient tree from bottom to top. This blow was named by Jiang Xiaofeng Newton's coffin lid. As if sensing Jiang Xiaofeng's wish, the reaction furnace on the chest of the genius form began to emit a stronger light, transforming the plane core under Jiang Xiaofeng's feet into a pure law attack. At this moment, Jiang Xiaofeng turned into a black stream of light. It was the power from the abyss, which looked so desperate. But in the black light, there was a mixture of dazzling colors. Under this attack, the entity of the golden ancient tree was instantly destroyed. But then an illusory golden ancient tree appeared to resist Jiang Xiaofeng's attack. Jiang Xiaofeng knew that this was the defense of the golden ancient tree at the law level, and its defense power was far beyond the entity. The blizzard was blown away in an instant, and at this moment, it seemed that only the two opposing lights of gold and black were left between heaven and earth. Gu Yuna in the distance took a deep breath. It seems that I will be the last straw. Ready, go, prepare, go. Stream finish. Ultimate end. Chapter 234. The Burning Daolo Library. Gu Yuna spread her wings and flew towards Jiang Xiaofeng, who was fighting against the golden ancient tree. As she flew, she was gradually enveloped by the 9-colored light and finally turned into a 9-colored dragon. The 9-colored dragon roared and rushed towards the intersection of the black light and the golden light, becoming the last straw that broke the balance between the two. A crisp sound of breaking was heard. The golden ancient tree that had stood for thousands of years was shattered at this moment, and Gu Yuna also lost consciousness at the moment when the golden ancient tree was shattered. After an unknown period of time, Gu Yuna's consciousness began to gradually recover. Oh, wake up. Is this Jiang Xiaofeng's voice? Gu Yuna slowly opened her eyes and began to look around. She remembered that she was destroying the golden ancient tree with Jiang Xiaofeng, and then she suddenly fainted. So, where is this place? Daolo Library? But, why is it like this? The collapsed and broken bookshelves, the burning books, the entire Daolo Library was in a sea of fire. Gu Yuna tried to extinguish the flames here, but found that she couldn't do it at all. These flames don't seem to be real flames. How should I put it? Jiang Xiaofeng scratched his head. One good news, one bad news, and one good and bad news. Hearing this, Gu Yuna couldn't help but have a bad premonition. What's the good news? The good news is that we succeeded. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. The golden ancient tree was destroyed. Whether it was the physical entity or the law level, we completely destroyed it. Our plan succeeded. Hearing this, Gu Yuna's heart was filled with joy, and then she asked with some worry, what's the bad news? Jiang Xiaofeng looked around. As you can see, this world is going to be destroyed. This is the Daolo Library. Every book represents the memory of this world. The bookshelves are woven with the laws of this world. When the bookshelves here begin to collapse, the books also begin to burn. I think you should understand what this means. Gu Yuna certainly understood. Not only that, she already understood the cause and effect. The golden ancient tree is connected to the laws of the Daolo continent. The complete destruction of the golden ancient tree means that the laws of this world have completely collapsed. When the laws of a world collapse, the world will inevitably go to destruction. Gu Yuna was not too surprised to hear the news, or rather, all of this was in their previous plan. What is the last piece of news that is neither good nor bad? Jiang Xiaofeng did not answer immediately, but closed his eyes and pondered for a while before saying, because the time of Daolo continent is collapsing, the time flow rate of this Daolo library is very different from that of the outside world. For example, 1 second has passed here, and 100 years have passed in the outside world. Of course, it is also possible that 100 years have passed here, and only 1 second has passed in the outside world. No wonder this is a piece of news that is neither good nor bad. Gu Yuna also tried to feel the surrounding environment. According to Jiang Xiaofeng's plan, they need to rebuild the laws of the Daolo plane, and this will definitely take time. But if there is an extreme situation where 1 second inside and 100 years outside occur, it will be really dangerous. But now, this neither good or bad news seems to have turned into good news. Jiang Xiaofeng opened his eyes with some surprise. The current time flow speed comparison is 1 year and 27 days here is about equivalent to 1 second in the outside world. Gu Yuna looked at Jiang Xiaofeng with some surprise. How did you feel it? In theory, Gu Yuna's perception ability should be greater than Jiang Xiaofeng's. But now, Gu Yuna can only perceive that there is a huge gap between the time here and the outside world, but cannot perceive the detailed time comparison. Don't forget, I'm a data body. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled proudly. You can enter here. It can be said that it is thanks to me. After my danger level reached 6.2, my data also upgraded. So, this Daoluo library is now my home court. If Jiang Xiaofeng is not using the Chuanqi system now, but the dual cavalry system, then now he can definitely meet the activation conditions of the extreme memory. Then, the experiment starts now. Jiang Xiaofeng opened his arms, and a large green data stream appeared from the bottom of his feet and spread to the entire Daoluo library. The speed of the data flow spreading is very slow, but very stable. The burning flames in the places covered by the spreading data flow in the library began to extinguish one after another. Real world. The power of the abyss core is constantly pouring into the reactor in the chest of the genius form, and is purified and transformed by the power of the genius energy bottle, and finally turns into green light and spreads to this world on the verge of collapse. Under the power of this green light, the Daoluo plane stopped the process of collapse. Although Jiang Xiaofeng's repair speed is very slow in the Daoluo library, but considering the time difference, this speed needs to be accelerated by more than 30 million times in reality. In this way, this speed completely becomes another story. With the rapid consumption of the power of the core of the abyss plane, the consciousness of the abyss saint, who was suppressed by the huge energy, also awakened. Then it lay down instantly without understanding anything. The time difference of more than 30 million times makes the energy consumption rate of the core of the abyss plane reach a terrifying level. And the soul of the abyss saint was also converted into energy in an instant, and then used to repair the laws of the plane. Daoluo library. Gu Yuna has assumed the role of the center, connecting the core of the abyss plane and Jiang Xiaofeng. When the soul of the abyss saint lord appeared, it was also strangled by Gu Yuna instantly. Its broken soul had no resistance in front of Gu Yuna. And because of the time difference, the soul of the abyss saint lord did not have time to resist. The flames in the Daoluo library have all been extinguished, and the collapse process of the Daoluo continent has stopped. In the place closest to Jiang Xiaofeng, the broken bookshelves have begun to reorganize quietly. If you look closely, you will find that the color of these bookshelves has become different from before. The previous bookshelves tended to be golden, and the reorganized bookshelves now have returned to their original brown. It seems that something was removed bit by Jiang Xiaofeng during the reorganization process. That is something that does not belong to the Daoluo continent. It is the law that the former god realm forced to embed into the Daoluo plane. After tens of thousands of years of development, these forced embedded laws have been completely mixed with the Daoluo plane. If it is not in this way of breaking and building, it cannot be removed at all. It's like if there is something stuck in the body and can't be taken out. If it takes a long time, the thing will grow together with the flesh and blood. If you want to take it out at this time, the difficulty will increase exponentially. In the real world, some high-level soul masters suddenly stopped their original activities and began to look at their hands in confusion. Just now, they felt that their soul rings seemed to become a little unstable. Chapter 235 A New Beginning. Soon, more and more people noticed their changes. Their spirit rings began to flicker, and even showed signs of disappearing at any time. What's going on? My spirit ring. Damn it. There's something wrong with the spirits sold in the spirit transfer tower. The first to disappear was the 10-year spirit ring. It seemed that the 10-year spirit ring had the simplest structure and the easiest to remove. So the first to be removed was the 10-year spirit ring. Xingdao Great Forest, a place of great danger. The Lord really did it. Di Xian looked up at the sky in disbelief. Just now, Di Xian felt that something was leaving him. With its departure, he seemed to feel relieved. As a spirit beast with a cultivation of more than 800,000 years, he knew these things that left him very well. That was the impending death tribulation. As a spirit beast of 800,000 years, Deshan could roughly foresee when he would die. And this time, the heavenly tribulation originally gave Deshan the feeling that there was no way out. There was absolutely no way out. And now, for the first time, there was a glimmer of life in the original deadly situation. Not only that, this way of life is expanding little by little. Not only that, the long dormant cultivation is also beginning to loosen up at this moment, and it seems that there is a possibility of further progress. Jiang Xiaofeng touched the hand of the king of 10,000 demons. Hey, old demon. The king of 10,000 demons was a little confused. What's the matter? I remember you said before that there is a word in the human world to express surprise. Jiang Xiaofeng scratched his head. How did you say that sentence? Oh, you mean that sentence? The king of 10,000 demons suddenly realized, yes, that sentence is indeed very suitable for this time. And the master also said that we will often contact humans in the future, and it is not a bad thing to learn some human customs in advance. No, just tell me how to say that sentence. Jiang Xiaofeng was a little impatient. The king of 10,000 demons smiled complacently. Okay, I'll tell you. That sentence is, WTF. I always feel something is weird, ZG whispered. In an ordinary family. Alas, although our son has mutated to have full innate soul power, what should we do with this soul? An ordinary mother looked at her son who was immersed in cultivation with a sad face. If he couldn't afford a soul, it meant that his soul power could not break through and would always be stuck at level 10. In order not to worry her son, she lied to him against her conscience. She said that some geniuses who are 1 in a million can break through the bottleneck directly and don't need soul rings at all. The reason why she didn't buy souls for a long time was just to try to see if her son had this talent, and it had nothing to do with not having enough money. She knew that this kind of rhetoric could only deceive her son for a while. Sooner or later, her son would have to face the iron rule that soul masters and poor people are not destined to be together. Suddenly, her son opened his eyes and cheered with joy. Mom, I broke through. I'm a genius who is 1 in a million. She shook her head helplessly, but still forced a smile and said, yes, our son is the best. Silly child, you are not a soul beast incarnation. Without a soul ring, how can your soul power break through? At this moment, she didn't realize that her child was not lying. And similar things didn't happen to him alone. At this moment, a large number of soul masters in the breakthrough period suddenly advanced without soul rings. Of course, some were happy and some were worried. For example, the soul that had just been bought turned out to be unable to produce soul rings, and the soul ring that had just been absorbed suddenly disappeared. Download library. The soul ring system is gradually disappearing. Gu Yuna murmured to herself, from now on, humans can no longer directly obtain soul skills from soul rings. Can they only try to create soul skills based on their own martial soul characteristics? This way of obtaining soul skills is countless times more difficult than before, but the degree of freedom is higher. Which of these two ways of obtaining soul skills is better? This question needs to be answered by time. But I think that the path that allows humans to choose freely must not be bad. At this time, a large number of bookshelves have been reassembled and jointly built the basic framework of the laws of Daoluo continent. In this case, the time in Daoluo library and the outside world began to gradually converge. Leave this to me. Jiang Xiaofeng slowly opened his eyes. Daoluo continent will be in a period of drastic changes again, and someone is needed to take charge of the overall situation. Before, because the timeline was not unified, it was okay for you to stay here for a long time. But now the timeline is tending to be unified, and the Daoluo plane is also experiencing drastic changes. If the president is offline for a long time at this time, then the country will be finished. So, the outside is left to you. Gu Yuna walked out, while gently stroking her hair. At the moment, when she was about to walk out of the Daoluo library, Gu Yuna stopped, looked back and smiled. Then, I'll wait for you outside. Jiang Xiaofeng was slightly stunned, and then chuckled. Yeah, I believe everyone has felt everything that happened in the past 2 days. Gu Yuna sat on the rostrum, looking at the dark crowd of congressmen in front of her, and the reporters who were filming frantically. This was a speech to the entire Daoluo star. The sudden drastic changes made most of the people panic. and they needed someone to stand up and explain it all. Soul rings are disappearing, and most people have lost the soul skills obtained from soul rings. Not only that, even soul bones are gradually disappearing. For many people, this is almost a disaster. But at the same time, for many people, this is also a blessing. They have talent, but cannot buy soul rings due to family reasons. They may even go to work to earn money for some inferior souls that barely reach the 10th level, causing themselves to miss the best age for cultivation. Because everything has changed now, many people have inexplicably completed their advancement without absorbing soul rings. You once asked me a question like this. If you absorb soul rings, you will be controlled by the divine realm, and if you don't absorb soul rings, you can't continue to cultivate. So where should soul masters go, and where should humans go? I said, don't worry, I will solve this problem. I think, at that time, there must be many people who think that I'm simply appeasing the people and just writing some blank checks. And everything that is happening now is my answer to you. You don't have to feel confused about what is happening now. This is not a disaster, but the beginning of a new era. Soul rings and soul bones will no longer exist, and human cultivation will no longer need to absorb the so-called soul rings. Some people may say, if there are no soul rings and soul bones, what about soul skills? Can I only be a blank soul master with soul power, but no soul skills? If you don't have soul skills, then create your own soul skills. Soul rings are like a cage that imprison the innate creativity of human beings. Under the confinement of soul rings, even the simplest entanglement needs to be completed through soul skills. Without soul rings, the number and ability of soul skills will be entirely determined by yourself. This is a brand new road and a new beginning. Everything requires us to explore little by little. But this is the charm of civilization. And in the process of exploration, I will be with you. Chapter 236, The Evolution of the Martial Soul. After delivering a speech with a huge amount of information, Gu Yuna began to deal with various policies. Such a subversive change has taken place in our Luo continent, and the adjustment of policies is urgent. Fortunately, Gu Yuna has made certain preparations in advance, so she will not be in a hurry because of this drastic change. A new cultivation system naturally requires a brand new cultivation theory. Fortunately, the theory in this area is not blank. After all, there is our ancestor who cultivates without soul rings. And this person is naturally Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin did not hide his cultivation experience, but generously disclosed it all. Someone once proposed a hypothesis. He believed that the martial spirit may have its own life. This view is correct. Many examples in history tell us that human martial spirits do have their own lives. Even in extreme cases, some martial spirits will control the soul master in turn. But this problem has been solved now, so don't worry. Tang Wulin smiled and livened up the atmosphere. At this moment, Tang Wulin was standing on the podium and talking freely. This is an open class. Tang Wulin is not just facing dozens of students under the podium. There were also soul masters from almost all Daoluo stars watching the live broadcast. The martial soul does have its own life, but few people paid attention to it in the past. The reason is simple, because it was useless to pay attention to it. Even if someone occasionally resonated with your martial soul, it would not have any practical effect. So no one paid attention to this later. But it's different now. Times have changed, and the previous theories are basically all overturned. As we all know, in the past, every time a soul ring was absorbed, it was equivalent to an evolution of the martial soul. And the role of the soul ring in this evolution process is to guide the evolution direction of the martial soul. And now, the soul ring no longer exists. But even so, the martial soul will still evolve when breaking through the level. Perhaps it is because of the loss of the shackles of the soul ring that the vitality of the martial soul began to become stronger. I want to tell you now, no matter what your talent is, what your martial soul is like, you need to believe one thing: your martial soul is the strongest. Even if it is not now, it will definitely be in the future. Your emotions will infect your martial soul, and the martial soul will also respond to your wishes. For example, the blue silver grass, which was once recognized as a useless martial soul. Because the blue silver grass is fragile and easy to break. If these words were not said by Tang Wulin, but by someone else, everyone might think he was joking. In this way, the once top martial spirits will gradually lose their dominance. For example, the two martial spirits of Blue Silver Grass and Clear Sky Hammer. Blue Silver Grass starts at 1, and Clear Sky Hammer starts at 100. If the Blue Silver Grass Spirit Master has a very high resonance with his martial spirit, each evolution can strengthen the Blue Silver Grass by 3 times. However, because the Clear Sky Hammer Spirit Master has a bad character, each evolution can only strengthen his Clear Sky Hammer by 2 times. Not only that, the Blue Silver Grass Martial Spirit has broken through its own limit, allowing the original evolution of once every 10 levels, a total of 9 times, to increase by 1, becoming 10 evolutions. Then at the last moment, this Blue Silver Grass Spirit Master will completely surpass the Clear Sky Hammer Spirit Master. Tang Wulin did not speak, but quietly watched the discussion below the stage. When the students below the stage had almost finished discussing, Tang Wulin smiled and continued to add, according to a friend's research, this kind of martial soul evolution can be inherited. Although soul power cannot be inherited, the realm your martial soul reaches is likely to become the starting point for the next generation. As Tang Wulin's seemingly casual words fell, almost all the soul masters in the world were shocked at this moment. The reason why the status of a soul master family is stable is that the martial souls inherited from generation to generation in the family are strong enough. A powerful soul master family must have a strong martial soul inherited by its descendants. The martial souls awakened by ordinary people are extremely weak, and the martial souls inherited by their descendants must also be extremely weak. Even if a peerless genius occasionally appears, he will not be able to obtain a soul ring because of his family background. Success equals 1% talent plus 99% effort. But if there is number 1% talent, no matter how hard you try, there will be a limit that cannot be broken. But now everything has changed. Family background can certainly be of great help, but it is no longer absolute. The soul rings that once restricted the genius of ordinary people no longer exist, and ordinary people no longer need to worry about soul rings. Not only that, even a useless martial spirit can constantly break its own limits through hard work, and finally pass on its efforts to the next generation. In this way, the former spirit master aristocracy may suddenly decline, and peerless strongmen may suddenly appear among the common people. Tang Wulin continued to share his cultivation experience, and at the last moment, Tang Wulin once again announced the big news. Shrek Academy will be reformed. Shrek Academy will gradually begin to expand its scale, and try to open branch campuses. The enrollment targets will also change. We will remove the cultivation threshold, and as long as the students have enough outstanding shining points, they can be admitted. For example, perseverance, brains, etc. And the ultimate goal of our reform is to make Shrek Academy no longer a high-ranking genius concentration camp. Instead, it will become a learning sanctuary, where everyone can find their own path. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237 Ending. After Tang Wulin announced the heavy news that Shrek was about to reform, the residents of Daoluo continent said, "It's a small scene, just get used to it. Too many things have happened in recent years, and there have been several world-destroying crises. Now a small reform is really not a big deal." Just like the gas explosion in Dongmu City, when something has become a daily routine, people will naturally not care too much. Daoluo Library. At this time, Daoluo Library has basically returned to its original appearance. The only difference is that the color of the bookshelf has changed dramatically from before. In the previous collision, many books in Daoluo Library were permanently burned. In other words, the memory of this part of the planet will be permanently lost. But the lost memory only accounts for a small part of it. The remaining well-preserved books have been rearranged on the bookshelf bit by bit. Speaking of which, how are Gu Yuna and the others doing recently? As this thought came to mind, a large bookshelf was instantly placed in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. New books. And so many? Jiang Xiaofeng was a little surprised. It seems that a lot of things have happened outside recently. Picking up a book, Jiang Xiaofeng began to flip through it quickly. While reading, Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. Well, it seems that they have been prepared for a long time and have stabilized the society in such a short time. However, this almost centralized social system seems to last for a long time. Speaking of which, the number of people who have soul power when their martial soul awakens is increasing. What's the situation? As we all know, only those who have soul power when awakening their martial soul can cultivate into a soul master. And it is this level that makes most people have no chance to become soul masters in this life. Throughout the history of soul masters, only a few people who use external plugins can become soul masters without soul power. For example, the apprentice accepted by Tang San during the Daoyi period. Now, more and more people have soul power when their martial soul awakens, even including many owners of martial souls that were originally considered useless. Although their awakened soul power is weak, it is real. Now, having soul power means having hope. A meaningless whisper sounded in Jiang Xiaofeng's ears, but as a data body, Jiang Xiaofeng could understand these languages without any obstacles. So that's it. The energy stored in Pandora's tower has begun to be absorbed. The energy absorbed from Pandora's tower is used by the Lord of the Plains to fully supplement Daoluo Star, rather than simply to raise the upper limit. This also includes the basic physical fitness of humans. This has also led to more and more people awakening their martial spirits with soul power. So far, the upper limit of cultivation in the Daoluo plane is still level 99, but the base number of soul masters has begun to increase. Moreover, Daoluo continent has also begun to become more and more stable. To give a specific example, it is equivalent to using the same force. In the original Daoluo continent, you can directly smash a big hole, but now, you can only smash a small hole. Not only that, because the overall vitality of Daoluo continent is improving, it will also be easier to breed some precious animal and plant resources. So, how did you stagnate the plane core of the abyss in the first place? This is a question that the Lord of the Plains cannot understand. After months of thinking, it still couldn't get the answer to this question. Gu Yuna once delayed the explosion of the eternal heaven for a short time in the explosive state, which was the inspiration for that tactic. Jiang Xiaofeng did not hide it, but explained directly. In fact, it is not complicated to say. It is to use an ability similar to Absolute Zero to make the core of the plane stagnant. At the beginning, with the help of the thinking auxiliary device of the creation rider, Jiang Xiaofeng saw the effect that Gu Yuna stagnated the eternal heaven that was about to explode in the explosive state. And now Gu Yuna is much stronger than before, and the control of various abilities is also far better than before. There is no reason that she can't do the same thing as before. Although there was a component of idealistic explosion in it at that time, now the final form has come out. If it still can't do what the enhanced form can do, then this final form is too watery. And the facts also prove this point. Gu Yuna successfully completed the battle plan given to her by Jiang Xiaofeng. Keep working, and try to finish the finishing work today. Gently put the book back on the bookshelf, and then Jiang Xiaofeng waved his hand gently, and the bookshelf was rearranged. In fact, when Jiang Xiaofeng reshaped the laws of the Daoluo plane, he had a chance to become the new master of the plane directly. After all, for this world, Jiang Xiaofeng, who defeated and reshaped the laws, was like the existence of the god of creation. Just like the relationship between Kiryu Battle Rabbit and the New World, the same is true between Jiang Xiaofeng and the Daoluo plane. In other words, he has higher authority, because Jiang Xiaofeng also has Philip's data body. The two authorities are superimposed together, enough to make Jiang Xiaofeng a true master of the plane. It's a pity that Jiang Xiaofeng is not interested in this thing. It's better to let the original master of the plane be the master. In the absence of external interference, Jiang Xiaofeng is still quite relieved about this original master of the plane. First of all, it is a consciousness born naturally in this world, and its feelings for this world are naturally extraordinary. And its relationship with this world is also a win-win situation. As long as humans develop normally and do not overly destroy nature, the interests of both will inevitably be consistent. Jiang Xiaofeng walked slowly to the last few bookshelves. Unlike the surrounding bookshelves, these last few bookshelves looked shabby, as if they could collapse at any time. I feel like I should be able to finish work today, Jiang Xiaofeng muttered silently, and then put his hand on one of the bookshelves. The next moment, a large amount of green data streams began to flow into the shabby bookshelves. Under the flushing of the green data stream, the bookshelves began to repair little by little, and began to glow with new vitality. Jiang Xiaofeng has repeated similar things no less than 10,000 times, and all the steps have long been familiar to him. After all, the overall repair method can only repair a rough repair, and the rest needs to be macro-managed by oneself bit by bit. It is this kind of delicate repair work that consumes a lot of Jiang Xiaofeng's time. But it doesn't matter, all this will be done today. And then, you need to face the final enemy with all your strength. If you don't solve it, the entire universe will have no future. That is the shadow that always weighs on Jiang Xiaofeng's heart. Glizer. Chapter 238 Return to the Star Forest. As the last bookshelf was repaired, an imperceptible wave spread from the Daoluo library to the entire Daoluo plane again. This is a shock caused by the complete completion of the law, just like the long-standing crack was suddenly closed. The shock itself is meaningless. What is really meaningful is the behavior that causes the shock. The law is completely completed, and its nature is equivalent to typing the last ending character when writing code. Before the law was completely completed, the laws of Daoluo continent were all based on Jiang Xiaofeng as the core, so that this incomplete law can operate normally. At present, it seems that only Jiang Xiaofeng, as a data body, can do this. As the law was completely completed, Jiang Xiaofeng was also freed from it. In the future, even without Jiang Xiaofeng as the core, the laws of Daoluo continent can operate on their own and eventually form a new core. A string of green data gathered in front of Jiang Xiaofeng and turned into a wooden door. This wooden door stood there alone, and there was nothing beside the door frame. But Jiang Xiaofeng could feel that this door connected the Daoluo library with the real world. As long as he opens this door, Jiang Xiaofeng can return to reality. Jiang Xiaofeng slowly opened the wooden door, and the light of the real world shone into the Daoluo library through the wooden door. After Gu Yuna's consciousness left the Daoluo library, Jiang Xiaofeng turned his entire body into data and sank into the Daoluo library rather than simply entering with consciousness. And now, it's time to leave. Facing the sunlight shining through the wooden door, Jiang Xiaofeng looked back and smiled. Then, I'm leaving? Okay. This time the voice that reached Jiang Xiaofeng's ears was particularly clear, as if because the laws were completed, the Lord of the Plains himself became more perfect, and, thank you for everything you have done. Don't mind it, we just take what we need. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head helplessly. If you really want to thank me, do your job as the Lord of the Plains in the future. As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng walked towards the world outside the door. The moment Jiang Xiaofeng stepped out of the door, a strong white light enveloped him. The dazzling light made Jiang Xiaofeng squint his eyes. When the light faded, a burst of bird calls reached Jiang Xiaofeng's ears. It seems that this is not Shrek. Jiang Xiaofeng looked around and seemed to be deep in a primitive jungle. Now the jungle seemed to be in the early morning, and there were still dewdrops on the leaves around. The morning sun sprinkled on the leaves, reflecting the beautiful brilliance. The Daoluo library is connected to the entire Daoluo plane. If the place when entering is inconsistent with the place when leaving, it is not a strange thing. Especially in this case where the whole body is transformed into data. To enter the Daoluo library, the location when leaving the Daoluo library will be more unstable. But even so, if you control it intentionally, you can still accurately locate it. So, is this the place where the Lord of the Plane accurately locates? Or is it just a random teleportation? It doesn't matter, it won't take much time anyway. After being busy for so long, it's not bad to relax by looking at the beautiful scenery. If it is a random teleportation, just use the eraser energy bottle and leave. Perhaps it is because of his skill that most people would worry about whether there would be danger if they were in such an unknown area. But Jiang Xiaofeng had no such idea at all. He just thought the scenery here was beautiful. Jiang Xiaofeng began to walk towards the place where the trees were more lush. Perhaps the structure of this forest was similar to that of the Xingdao Great Forest. There were things with strong vitality in the center, which made the trees near the center grow more densely. This forest was full of vitality. Even the former Tsingtao Great Forest did not give Jiang Xiaofeng such a fresh feeling. It didn't make sense. Why has such a vibrant forest been unknown? You know, the most recognized forest with the largest area and the most vigorous vitality on the Daoluo continent is the Tsingtao Great Forest. But this forest is obviously more full of vitality than the Tsingtao Great Forest. Why have I never heard of it? At this moment, a huge and strange python slowly flew past Jiang Xiaofeng. When passing in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, its eyes fell on Jiang Xiaofeng. But that was all. The giant python seemed to be just passing by. After taking a look, it ignored Jiang Xiaofeng and flew away. That python just now seemed to be a wine-tailed cockroach snake. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the wine-tailed cockroach snake going away and said in surprise, "Why didn't it attack humans after seeing them?" Jiang Xiaofeng had even prepared for the battle just now, such as knocking out the wine-tailed cockroach snake when it attacked. But it turned out that Jiang Xiaofeng was too suspicious. The wine-tailed cockroach snake had no desire to attack at all. With doubts in his mind, Jiang Xiaofeng continued to walk deeper into the forest. After walking for about half an hour, the surrounding trees were lush enough to cover the sunlight. It seemed that he had come to a relatively deep area in the forest. Suddenly, Jiang Xiaofeng stopped and picked up a stone and threw it in front of him. The moment the stone fell to the ground, black barbs instantly extended from the ground and wrapped the stone. Spider silk? Jiang Xiaofeng frowned, then relaxed his brows. I remember, the crypt spider. The spider silk of the crypt spider is very special. Its appearance is a bit like barbs, and it can instantly form a cage to trap prey inside. As soon as Jiang Xiaofeng finished speaking, a huge crypt spider jumped up from the ground, and two huge spider legs instantly stabbed Jiang Xiaofeng. Jiang Xiaofeng jumped back lightly to avoid the attack, and looked at the crypt spider in front of him. This crypt spider is very large, and it is estimated to be 10,000 years old. It is said that its personality is more insidious and good at sneak attacks on prey. Although so, it is still a part of the ecosystem. If it is not necessary, Jiang Xiaofeng is not going to kill it actively. Letting it run on its own in the food chain is the best choice. The crypt spider looked at Jiang Xiaofeng, but did not continue to attack. What happened the next moment shocked Jiang Xiaofeng completely. The 10,000-year level crypt spider actually spoke human language. Human. Boring. Or 1,000-year soul beast has a certain wisdom. A 10,000-year soul beast has wisdom no less than that of humans. A 100,000-year soul beast can speak human language, and a 200,000-year soul beast can become human. This is common sense that everyone knows. Although there may be some special soul beasts that can break this common sense, the crypt spider is obviously not one of them. In Jiang Xiaofeng's astonished eyes, the crypt spider slowly turned around and said while drilling back into the ground, "Get out of my territory, don't bother me." With the habits of the crypt spider, it is impossible to let go of the prey. Unless the gap in strength between the two is too large, the status of hunter and prey is reversed. But the crypt spider in front of him obviously couldn't know Jiang Xiaofeng's strength, so why would it let him go just like that? It's the Lord's ban. A woman in a green dress suddenly appeared behind Jiang Xiaofeng and explained with a smile. Jiang Xiaofeng turned around slowly and expressed his doubts. So, this is still the Stardao Great Forest. It's just that the evolution of the plane has caused the Stardao Great Forest to undergo earth-shaking changes, right? That's right. The woman nodded with a smile. I think this should be our first formal meeting. As you can see, I'm a fierce beast, and my body is a 590,000-year-old emerald swan. You humans generally call me Bridget. You are our honored guest of the Stardao Great Forest and the benefactor of all soul beasts. Please go to the Lake of Life for a chat. Our lord is also there. She sensed your arrival and asked me to come and greet you. There, the lord will tell you everything that happened here. P.S. Another wave of my new book, Super God, The Light of the Earth. Super God Academy plus Jaya, a guru. Because the Super God conspiracy theory is not adopted, conspiracy theory enthusiasts are not allowed to enter. Chapter 239 Return. Gu Yuna is here too? Jiang Xiaofeng was a little surprised. Then let's go. It seems that the Lord of the Plains did not teleport randomly, but knew that Gu Yuna was here, so he teleported Jiang Xiaofeng here. Under the leadership of Biji, Jiang Xiaofeng quickly passed through the core area of the Stardao Great Forest and came to the Great Evil Land. It is well known that the Great Evil Land of the Stardao Great Forest is a lake. In the past 10,000 years, the lakes in the Great Evil Land have dried up a lot. Jiang Xiaofeng had witnessed this before. The Lake of Life in the Stardao Great Forest is much smaller than that recorded in historical documents, and the current Lake of Life is much larger than any period of the Lake of Life in historical records. As if seeing the surprise in Jiang Xiaofeng's heart, Biji smiled and said, "This is the result of the Lord and you." Obviously, because of Jiang Xiaofeng's series of actions, everything in Daoluo continent is evolving, and the Lake of Life in the Stardao Great Forest is naturally included. "Let's go. The master is waiting for you in the wooden house you lived in before." As she spoke, Biji led Jiang Xiaofeng around the Lake of Life. The wooden house that Biji mentioned should refer to the small wooden house that Jiang Xiaofeng and others used as a temporary base when Tang San's consciousness appeared before. After Tang San's matter came to an end, the Stardao Great Forest was moved out by Gu Yuna again, and the previously vacant pocket universe was vacated as a backup. And now, this pocket universe is used as the last refuge. If Glizer is not defeated, this pocket universe will become the last pure land, allowing some people and soul beasts in the Daoluo plane to survive in it. Of course, it can only survive. The place is too small, and the slightest accident inside can cause the destruction of all the humans and soul beasts who took refuge. What Jiang Xiaofeng didn't expect was that the temporary wooden house still existed. It is said that the Lake of Life has expanded so much, and the wooden house should have been flooded directly. In this case, the wooden house still exists, which can only mean that someone is deliberately protecting it. Jiang Xiaofeng could guess who was willing to protect the wooden house. Under Biji's leadership, the wooden house where the forger once lived soon appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. Gu Yuna stood in front of the wooden house with a smile, looking like a wife waiting for her husband to come home. "My lord, I have brought the person here," Biji said respectfully, then glanced at Jiang Xiaofeng and said uncertainly, "Then, I will take my leave." Obviously, Biji knew that, if she continued to stay here, she would most likely become a light bulb. Being a light bulb for her master, this pressure is a bit high. So when Biji found an opportunity, she simply proposed to run away. Gu Yuna nodded gently, "Well, leave." With Gu Yuna's permission, Biji instantly turned into a green swan and sank into the Lake of Life, and the surface of the Lake of Life also began to ripple. Watching the ripples on the lake gradually dissipate, Gu Yuna smiled and said, "I'm back." Jiang Xiaofeng was slightly stunned, then walked forward quickly and hugged Gu Yuna tightly in his arms. "Well, I'm back. You've worked hard during this period." This sudden behavior made Gu Yuna sluggish for a moment, but she soon understood the reason for all this, and then she opened her arms and hugged Jiang Xiaofeng together. For the outside world, it only took a few months from the destruction of the golden ancient tree to the complete reshaping of the law. But for Jiang Xiaofeng, more than 10 years have passed. 10 years. Do you know how I have been through these 10 years? Facing a pile of monotonous books and bookshelves all day long, there is nothing else. Later, because he was really bored, Jiang Xiaofeng even read the detailed records of geological changes in the Daoluo library. And how detailed is this record? It can probably accurately determine how many times a certain part of a stone is stepped on in a day, and what creatures stepped on it, and how strong the wind is blowing at a few minutes and seconds. This is why Jiang Xiaofeng wanted to see more of the scenery in the Xingdao Great Forest after he came out. In this era, Jiang Xiaofeng is only about 25 or 26 years old. Even if you add the age before crossing, he is only in his early 40s. After all, Jiang Xiaofeng in his previous life had only been in society for a few years. If you remove the time when he lost consciousness as a data fake death, Jiang Xiaofeng's age will be reduced by about 6 years. In short, Jiang Xiaofeng's life is less than 40 years old, but he has spent more than 10 years in the Daoluo library. After finally getting out of it, everything in the real world naturally made him miss it. For Jiang Xiaofeng, Gu Yuna is naturally equivalent to not seeing her for 10 years. Gu Yuna also knew all this, so she just let Jiang Xiaofeng hug her. After a long time, Jiang Xiaofeng slowly untied his arms. Let's talk business. In your timeline, what happened in the past few months? I just took a rough look in the Daoluo library before, and I don't know a lot of things yet. Gu Yuna thought for a while. Well, you tell me what you know first, and then I will help you fill in the gaps. A few months can be long or short. For the current Daoluo continent, there are too many things that can happen in a few months. The simplest example is that many young talents, or young geniuses, have been born among humans. Because only a few months have passed, there are still many obvious manifestations. If a few more years pass, perhaps a large number of original families will decline, and a large number of new generation families will rise. There are also significant changes in the soul beasts. For example, the soul beasts that were about to die in the next heavenly tribulation miraculously survived, and the intelligence of soul beasts generally began to improve, and even many soul beasts of 10,000 years could speak human language. In response to these phenomena, Gu Yuna also made a lot of policy adjustments. The final result is that, although the society is constantly shaking, it is generally stable in the region. At the same time, Gu Yuna also ordered soul beasts not to actively attack humans, and humans were similarly not to actively attack soul beasts unless they were attacked. Because soul beasts' intelligence had improved, they were also more likely to execute Gu Yuna's orders. At the same time, Gu Yuna used the edge of the Stardao Great Forest to demarcate the boundary between humans and soul beasts. Without permission, humans were not allowed to enter the Stardao Great Forest, and soul beasts were not allowed to step out of the Stardao Great Forest. The so-called permission refers to something called a visa. Only humans or soul beasts with visas can cross this border. At the same time, people or soul beasts holding visas will also receive corresponding protection after crossing the border. Soul beasts who want to transform can also register first. After completing the transformation, they will have human rights and no one can harm them without reason. Because the law is not perfect, in order to avoid loopholes, Gu Yuna simply added a clause at the end of the law. I have the final right to interpret all laws. Chapter 240 The Threat of the Fugitive. The application channel for visas has not been opened yet. After all, the review system has not been perfected yet. At present, there is one person holding a visa each among humans and soul beasts. The visa holder on the human side has not been officially announced yet, but the visa holder on the soul beast side has long been known to the world. The visa holder on the soul beast side is none other than Gu Yuna herself. Gu Yuna knows that, if the laws she has made are to be truly implemented in the future, it is absolutely necessary to lead by example. The final right of interpretation is ultimately just a stopgap measure, and it will definitely not work in the long run. So when the laws are completely perfected in the future, the final right of interpretation will definitely be removed. If you want the law to be implemented, you need to lead by example. According to the law, soul beasts need to hold a visa to enter the human world. Gu Yuna is also a soul beast, and according to the law she set herself, she also needs a visa. In summary, Gu Yuna simply issued herself a visa, and therefore had the right to stay in human society for a long time. The other visa owner is Jiang Xiaofeng, who had just come out of the Daoluo library not long ago. Of course, the world didn't know that the second visa had been issued. So, next we just need to prepare for the battle with Gliza, and stabilize the social order of the Daoluo plane. Gu Yuna asked. Now that the problems of the Daoluo continent have been solved, the god realm has long been dead. The fundamental contradiction between soul beasts and soul masters has disappeared. If it weren't for the existence of Gliza, the only thing left would probably be to build a beautiful new Daoluo. However, Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head unexpectedly. Not necessarily. Gu Yuna was a little confused. Does it mean the dark thunderstorm energy? Not just the dark thunderstorm energy. Jiang Xiaofeng thought, the threat of the dark thunderstorm energy is certainly relatively large, but it is still within the controllable range. With the genius form and the establishment of a satellite monitoring system, the dark thunderstorm energy is not to be feared. Not the dark thunderstorm energy. Is it another new threat? Now that the entire universe is in a turbulent situation, it doesn't seem surprising that something strange and weird suddenly appears. Suddenly, Gu Yuna had an idea. Is it because of Pandora's tower? Yes. Jiang Xiaofeng nodded. The Pandora's tower contains a terrifying energy. Although this power is not the real core power of Pandora's box, it definitely exceeds the star level. If it were not for the constraints of Pandora's tower, the current Daluo plane would probably become a bright beacon in the universe. But even so, if a fleet capable of completing interstellar voyages appears around Daluo star, Pandora's tower will still be exposed. Jiang Xiaofeng didn't need to say much about the rest. Gu Yuna already understood the cause and effect. Pandora's tower is now a larger energy source than a star, and because of the constraints of Pandora's tower, this energy source is much easier to use than a star. For alien civilizations that are in the process of interstellar exploration, this is definitely a great treasure. And facing such a great treasure, if it is discovered by an alien civilization that is capable of using it, the result is self-evident. Of course, now because of the appearance of Glizer, the situation has changed a lot. Although the energy in Pandora's tower is easier to use than that of stars, it still requires a certain technological foundation. Unless this civilization also has a bug like Jiang Xiaofeng, the overall technology tree is not high, but a point can be temporarily piled up. Civilizations that can effectively utilize the energy of Pandora's tower can basically detect some clues about Glizer. After a tentative attack, they will most likely choose to escape from the stars. The big taboo of escape is to stay in one place for too long. Pandora's tower is immovable, which greatly reduces its value in the current environment. After all, the utilization of Pandora's tower is a long-term process, and it is necessary to stay on a planet for a long time. This is a good aspect. Of course, there are also bad aspects. Because of the existence of Glizer, the frequency of fleet activities has increased significantly, which has also invisibly increased the probability of alien civilizations appearing around Daluo star. And then increase the possibility of Pandora's tower being discovered by alien fleets. So, do we still need to deal with fugitives from aliens? Gu Yuna frowned and said, if we still have to deal with these enemies, it will be a bit troublesome. It's just a possibility. Jiang Xiaofeng added, it's also possible that until the problem is solved, no fugitives pass by our side. Or even if there are fugitives passing by, they are the type who can talk well. The most famous conjecture about the relationship between different aliens is Liu Cixin's dark forest theory. But in fact, this theory is only proposed in the novel, based on the human thinking mode, and cannot be regarded as a rigorous scientific conclusion. In the past life, there were many conspiracy theory enthusiasts who didn't learn anything else, and they only talked about the dark forest theory, as if it were the Bible, which was very annoying. After all, no one has ever seen aliens, and their thinking mode and social structure are not what humans can imagine. Maybe the aliens are actually eating melon seeds and drinking beer, and then watching the Interhumanity column on the record channel. Gu Yuna sighed a little tiredly, but we still have to be on guard, right? There is no way not to be tired, and troubles have come one after another recently. Jiang Xiaofeng said that this is all because of a person named Why Can't You Do Anything, and he did everything. Yeah. Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel a little tired. I've thought about making something to hide Daluo star from all aspects, but it may take more than 5 years to hide Pandora's tower, let alone Daluo star. When this thing is made, there is no need to study the white hole trigger. Just lie down and wait for death. It can only be said that it's all the fault of the evil Why Can't I Do Anything, which has made so many troublesome things. Then we will fight against the enemy and cover the water. Gu Yuna decided, I will strengthen the monitoring of the area around Daluo star, and you can complete the development of the white hole trigger with peace of mind. It is the only hope for the future. And with our current strength, we are not afraid of it, even if there are fugitives coming. After all, the current Daluo plane is not a place where anyone can do whatever they want. There are 2 ultimate riders sitting here. In this case, there are really not many people who can threaten them. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled. Then wait for my good news. Although the prerequisite of the lost energy bottle needs to be completed, it won't take me long. Chapter 241 Lost Energy Bottle, New Discovery. After parting with Gu Yuna in the Xingdao Great Forest, Jiang Xiaofeng devoted himself to the preparatory work for the White Hole Trigger, the Lost Energy Bottle. The Lost Energy Bottle is said to have been accidentally created by Nanba Heavy Industries when they were looking for a way to purify the energy bottle in the worldview of Creation Rider. Normally, purifying the energy bottle requires the special ability of the Queen of Mars, but this does not seem to be the only way. At that time, the West Capital and the North Capital completed the purification of the energy bottle without the Queen of Mars. Now that I think about it, the energy bottles owned by the West Capital and the North Capital should be the research results of Nanba Heavy Industries. As for the so-called accidental product, I'm afraid that is what Kiryu Battle Rabbit's father, Shinobu Katsuragi, really wants. In short, the lost energy bottle can be artificially synthesized. It is another branch of the nebula gas purification process, and it is also the key to opening the black and white metal plates. Highly concentrated green nebula gas is instantly injected into the blank energy bottle, and this is the first step in making the lost energy bottle. Make an energy bottle containing highly concentrated nebula gas. The nebula gas contained in the lost energy bottle far exceeds that of a regular energy bottle, and the lost smasher transformed by the lost energy bottle is also much stronger than a regular smasher. Not only that, under the same danger level, the lost smasher is even stronger than the Kamen Rider transformed by a regular energy bottle. To defeat the lost smasher at the same level, at least a device of the level of an extrusion drive or a bubble tank is required. After completing the injection of the nebula gas, Jiang Xiaofeng then put it into a universal purification device. However, this time, Jiang Xiaofeng is not going to purify, but catalyze. Catalyze in a special way, to make the nebula gas in the energy bottle change in another direction, and finally form a lost energy bottle. The specific method of catalysis has long been handed over to Jiang Xiaofeng by Kiryu Battle Rabbit, so that Jiang Xiaofeng doesn't have to study it from scratch. After all, in the knowledge he received in the initial stage, there is really no method for making a lost energy bottle, and this special catalytic method requires a dangerous trigger as the center. Because there is only one dangerous trigger when making a lost energy bottle, it is impossible to purify multiple energy bottles simultaneously like the previous purification of energy bottles. Jiang Xiaofeng put a plug-in into the purification device, and in the groove of this plug-in, Jiang Xiaofeng inserted the dangerous trigger into it. The next moment, the red light slowly flowed along the plug-in into the purification device and catalyzed the highly concentrated nebula gas in the energy bottle according to the program set by Jiang Xiaofeng. About 3 hours later, 2 lost energy bottles that had completed the transformation were freshly produced. One was the bat that the honest man had used, and the other was the cobra that mystery had used. Playing with the lost energy bottle that had just been made, Jiang Xiaofeng frowned instead. The lost energy bottle needs to be refined before it can really activate the white Pandora metal plate. Although it has not been truly experimented, both Xantu and Jiang Xiaofeng think so. However, refining the lost energy bottle requires implanting it into the human body, although theoretically, the power of the genius form can safely remove the lost energy bottle. But how can I say that it is better to be cautious in everything? After all, there are some special cases where even the power of the genius form cannot safely remove the lost energy bottle. For example, Miss Aura, who has the soul of the Queen of Mars in her body, seems to have some special reaction with the lost energy bottle. Even the genius form cannot directly take out the lost energy bottle. So, will the power of the lost energy bottle react with the martial soul? Although the probability is very small, no one can say for sure. Why do I feel that I'm the most suitable candidate? Forget it. Let's wait until all the lost energy bottles are made. The process of waiting for the nebula gas to catalyze is a bit boring. Jiang Xiaofeng casually inserted 2 unfinished, lost energy bottles into the white metal plate. But the next moment, the white light instantly wrapped up the lost energy bottle. In Jiang Xiaofeng's astonished eyes, the purple bottle body gradually turned white, and the silver pattern covering the bottle body also turned gold. All this in front of him can be said to be beyond Jiang Xiaofeng's expectations, and beyond Kiryu Battle Rabbit's expectations. Calm down, calm down. As a firm materialist fighter, Jiang Xiaofeng firmly believes that existence is reasonable. Since a thing actually exists, it must have its rationality. Since all this has happened, it means that there are errors in the previous cognition, or even mistakes. At this time, Jiang Xiaofeng already has a rough guess in his mind. Although this guess has not been confirmed, Jiang Xiaofeng thinks it is very likely to be correct. Without embedding it in the metal plate, the lost energy bottle has two postures. One is the regular purple bottle body, and the other is the refined black body. It is generally believed that the black refined version of the lost energy bottle is an advanced version of the regular lost energy bottle. But now it seems that this theory may not be correct. Jiang Xiaofeng guessed that the purple lost energy bottle and the black lost energy bottle are actually two forms of the same level. From purple to black, the human body is needed as a medium. And from black to purple, the dangerous trigger is needed as a medium. Not only that, when the lost energy bottle was made, the dangerous trigger was the center. Perhaps it was because of the dangerous trigger that its initial state was a purple bottle body. If these guesses are correct, it is not difficult to explain everything that just happened. The black lost energy bottle activated the black metal plate. As a purple lost energy bottle of the same level, there is no reason why it cannot do something similar. Now it seems that the purple lost energy bottle is probably used to activate the white metal plate. If 10 purple lost energy bottles are embedded in the white metal plate, and then the black metal plate is buckled on, it is estimated that the black metal plate will no longer play a leading role, but the white metal plate. Looking at the lost energy bottle that has become white and gold, Jiang Xiaofeng breathed a sigh of relief. Although the process was a bit unexpected, the result was generally good, and there was no need to worry about the refining problem. After a rough estimate of the time, all 10 lost energy bottles can be catalyzed tomorrow at most. In this case, let's start preparing the experimental equipment now. After all, the white hole trigger is still only a theory for the time being. If you want to turn it into reality, it will be an unprecedented challenge even for Jiang Xiaofeng. But now, Jiang Xiaofeng has no choice. The white hole trigger and Shuangyu are the only hope for the future. Chapter 242 Difficulties. Owl. Stag beetle. Zebra. Because there is no such thing as the best match for the lost energy bottle. Therefore, when Jiang Xiaofeng embedded the lost energy bottle, he matched them at will. When each lost energy bottle was embedded in the white Pandora metal plate, its body would change from purple to white, and the pattern would turn to gold. Then next, it's the inorganic lost energy bottle. Jiang Xiaofeng muttered to himself, while picking up the inorganic energy bottle placed on the other side. Castle. Hammer. CD. Wrench. Scissors. As all 10 energy bottles were embedded in the white metal plate, the lines on the metal plate also showed white light. But the light lasted for less than a second before it went silent. At first glance, it seemed no different from before. But Jiang Xiaofeng could feel that the white metal plate in front of him had completely come alive at this moment. Jiang Xiaofeng took a deep breath and carefully prepared to pick up the white metal plate in front of him. At the moment, when Jiang Xiaofeng's hand touched the metal plate, his consciousness seemed to come to a certain depth with the help of the power of the metal plate. The place where humans live is called a planet. Several planets revolve around a star, forming a celestial system called a galaxy. And billions of stellar celestial systems together form a super large stellar galaxy. Not only galaxies, but also star clusters, nebulae, dark matter, black holes and other substances. They are all in a space called the universe. So, what is outside the universe? At this moment, Jiang Xiaofeng seemed to have the answer. In a space beyond the dimension, many universes of different sizes float here quietly like bubbles. Some universes are far apart, while some universes are connected by things like branches. That is the branch of time, because more possibilities appear at a certain point in time, which leads to more branches. This is the parallel universe. It seems to be connected together, but in fact it does not interfere with each other. And Jiang Xiaofeng, like duckweed in the sea, floats quietly in this super-dimensional space. These universes seem to be right in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, but he knew that even the unit of light years was too small in this hyperdimensional space. As his sight kept moving, various universes appeared in Jiang Xiaofeng's eyes, and these universes even included the world before the crossing. However, Jiang Xiaofeng could not see through this universe very well, especially the orphanage where he once lived. In the language of fantasy, it was like a big cause and effect intertwined in this orphanage. Moreover, in this universe, mysterious light kept flying out of it and eventually flew to other universes. Whenever this light merged into other universes, this universe began to extend new branches. Seeing this, Jiang Xiaofeng had already understood something in his heart, and he seemed to understand where the missing orphans had gone. Jiang Xiaofeng shifted his sight again and tried to find the universe he was in now. Soon, a universe with countless branches appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng. There is a parallel Daoluo universe where the Pope of the Wuhan Hall, Mahangjin, led the Holy Sun Longgong and the Holy Lady Shipio to compete for the 7 Dragon Balls. It is said that, as long as you collect 7 Dragon Balls, you can summon the good little King Kong. There is also a parallel Daoluo universe where Tang San, Xiao Wu, Damu Bei and other 7 people launched the first Holy Grail War as the first generation of masters. It is said that those who win the Holy Grail can enjoy a 30% discount on Pandora. There is also a parallel Daoluo universe of Tang Shan, who is the incarnation of the 100,000-year-old Blue Silver Emperor, and Xiao Wu from the Holy Soul Village. In short, this is the first time that Jiang Xiaofeng has seen so many parallel timeline universes. And the timeline that Jiang Xiaofeng himself is in a very strange state, as if it may disappear at any time. Not only that, this state is even spreading to other parallel timelines along the branches. It seems that there is one more reason to defeat Glizer. If I fail to eliminate Glizer in this time and space, it will continue to spread to other parallel universes. Either it will encounter an existence that cannot be resisted and be eliminated, or it will become stronger and stronger. The next moment, Jiang Xiaofeng's consciousness returned. He was still in the laboratory, and in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand, he was firmly holding the white metal plate embedded with lost energy bottles. The power of the white metal plate is really strong. Just holding it in my hand is enough to let me see the existence of the parallel universe for a short time. Jiang Xiaofeng muttered to himself. As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng took the white metal plates to the test bench. Now it seems that the research data of the battle rabbit may not be 100% accurate, but it is normal to think about it. After all, this thing is still in the research stage, and the data cannot be all correct. According to the analysis of the research data, the white metal plate should have the ability to transform into bricks like other panels. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the data entered into the computer line by line. Even if the metal plate without the lost energy bottle is transformed into a brick, it has no effect. Even if it is inserted into the drive, there is no reaction. But when the lost energy bottle is inserted, everything is reversed. Its powerful force is even beyond the control of the creation driver. Although I don't want to admit it, this situation has to make people guess. Perhaps this is the limit of the night system. This level of power may only be controlled by the evil driver. Reading this, Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head. No, it shouldn't be like this. The ceiling of the creation series, creation, is equipped with the creation driver. Moreover, the miracles caused by the night system many times also prove this point. There should be other ways, such as evenly distributing the power in the metal plate to 60 energy bottles like the Genius energy bottle. According to the current thinking, if you want to fight against Glizer, you need white metal plate plus dangerous trigger plus creation. The white metal plate will be assembled with the dangerous trigger to form a new white hole trigger. But now it seems that the creation driver can hardly bear the power of a single white metal plate, let alone the form of so many forces superimposed together. No, at least in this world, the driver should be able to be further strengthened. Moreover, there must be a way to control the power of the white metal plate, but it has not been found yet. The method that Jiang Xiaofeng thought of was the forging of this world. With the forging technology of this world, the strength of Pandora alloy can be improved to a higher level. Moreover, this world is also evolving. Perhaps the difficulty of forging Pandora alloy will be much lower. Chapter 243, Spiritual Forging Pandora alloy, almost complete. If the Pandora alloy can be spiritually forged, its strength will definitely make a qualitative leap. In this way, the bearing capacity of the driver will also be greatly improved. And there is only one person in the world who can complete the spiritual forging of Pandora alloy, Tang Wulin. The spiritual forging of Pandora alloy has been experimented before, but the results of that experiment were obviously unsatisfactory. At the last moment, when the spiritual forging was about to be completed, or thunder tribulation that was 100 times stronger than usual suddenly appeared. Now that I think about it, maybe the plane cannot bear the Pandora alloy of the spiritual forging level. Just like before, the Daoluo plane cannot bear the god level Soul Master, so the limit between level 99 and level 100 is terrifying. Similarly, this obviously extraordinary heavenly tribulation is also the case. But now the situation is different. The Daoluo plane is continuing to evolve, and its carrying capacity has also increased significantly. Before, it was no big problem for 3 god kings to play cards together. Now that a few months have passed, it is estimated that several tables of god kings can be gathered to play Mahjong. Do it as soon as you say it. Jiang Xiaofeng immediately called Tang Wulin. When the call was connected, Tang Wulin said jokingly, "Hey, you're still able to call me after spending so much time with Gu Yuna? Get lost, let's be serious." Jiang Xiaofeng scolded with a smile. "You know the situation now, there are so many things that I can't handle at all." Hearing this, Tang Wulin also became serious. "That's right, there have been so many drastic changes on Daoluo Star. It would be strange if I wasn't busy. And there is also a Glizzard who may arrive at any time." In fact, Tang Wulin himself was also very busy. Daoluo continent has undergone drastic changes, and Shrek Academy has also made a lot of reforms to adapt to the times. Because they know how to adapt to the development of the times, and they listen to orders, and don't mess around. Shrek Academy and Tang Sect have become the few old forces that are still strong. As for those old forces that don't know how to adapt and don't obey management, they have gradually become the smoke of history. In simple terms, feudal remnants are not good. By the way, how is the spiritual forging of Pandora alloy going? Jiang Xiaofeng asked. When this was mentioned, Tang Wulin was no longer sleepy. It seems that due to the evolution of the plane, the difficulty of spiritual forging of Pandora alloy has been reduced a lot. If the quality is not taken into consideration, I can actually complete the spiritual forging of Pandora alloy now. What if you want to ensure high quality? Jiang Xiaofeng was a little surprised when he got the news. In the past few days, Tang Wulin said with great certainty, as a professional blacksmith, Tang Wulin's premonition in this regard is still very accurate. Especially now that his attainments in forging are getting higher and higher, his premonitions are becoming more and more accurate. For example, sometimes, Tang Wulin feels that he is in a particularly good state today, and he may be able to make a breakthrough in forging. At this time, Tang Wulin's forging technology often has a big breakthrough. "You've helped a lot," Jiang Xiaofeng said with emotion. With the spirit-forged Pandora alloy, the fault tolerance of the white hole trigger can be greatly improved. Hearing this, Tang Wulin couldn't help but frowned and said, "Did you encounter any difficulties in the research?" "It's okay, it's a small problem," Jiang Xiaofeng said nonchalantly. "After all, it's a brand new research. How can it be smooth sailing?" That's right, Tang Wulin thought. After all, such a complicated thing, even if Jiang Xiaofeng came to study it, it would probably be bumpy. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Tang Wulin comforted. After all, you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. Sometimes when you are anxious, it will interfere with your thinking. If it really doesn't work, let's think about that macro universe and see if there is a way to expand it a little. It seems that this is a way out, Jiang Xiaofeng thought. With the energy in Pandora's tower, it is not difficult to expand the macro universe. Not only that, because the pocket universe will not expand on its own, there is something that is impossible to appear, and it may have the possibility of realization. Perpetual motion machine. Perhaps, that pocket universe can be regarded as a piece of Eden after the end of the world. If Jiang Xiaofeng had not seen what happened just now, he would definitely think so. But now it seems that this method can only delay the time of extinction. As a universe separated from the Daoluo universe, its position in the hyperdimensional space must be extremely close to the Daoluo universe. There may even be branches connecting them. Through the white metal plate, Jiang Xiaofeng saw the desperate scene. Gliz's power was constantly expanding along the branches to the parallel timeline. In other words, even if you hide in that pocket universe, you will eventually be destroyed. If you want to survive, you have to defeat Gliz. However, Jiang Xiaofeng did not say these things for the time being. After all, this path is not completely useless. I know. Anyway, the spiritual forging of Pandora alloys left to you? Let's try to make killing Gliz the first priority. Okay. Tang Wulin said confidently. 3 days at most. Wait for my good news. Listening to Tang Wulin's confident voice, Jiang Xiaofeng seemed to be infected by his enthusiasm invisibly. Okay, it's up to you. After the communication ended, Jiang Xiaofeng stretched his waist. Then next, I can't fall behind. After stretching his waist, Jiang Xiaofeng picked up the white metal plate embedded with lost energy bottles again, and inserted it into a special groove. Jiang Xiaofeng connected the densely packed wires one by one on the white metal plate, and the computer monitor next to it also showed various data read. Maybe you can try the template of the dangerous trigger, and divide the white hole trigger into 2 modes, one normal mode, and one burst mode. As we all know, there are 2 modes of dangerous triggers. One is the ordinary mode, which is slightly weaker in power, but the advantage is that the user can control himself. There is also a overflow mode, which greatly increases combat power, but will make the user lose reason. Of course, this problem has been solved now. As long as you use the 3 forms of double rabbit, double tank and double phoenix, you can control the overflow mode while maintaining your reason. Perhaps you can use a similar template to reduce the output power to a certain extent, thereby reducing the load on the driver. However, this method also has problems. Once the burst mode is enabled, the load will not be reduced at all. And according to Jiang Xiaofeng's guess, even if the burst mode is activated, it can only be a 50-50 match with Gliz at best. If you use the normal mode to fight, Beidang Chuangai will not have the slightest chance of winning. Who cares? Let's do it first. As he said, Jiang Xiaofeng took out the dangerous trigger and inserted it into the groove on the other side. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244 Energy Vortex. At the moment, when the dangerous trigger was inserted into the groove, the activity of the white metal plate's energy instantly soared. If the original energy was like a pool of silent dead water, it is now like a violent whirlpool. It is not a symbolic whirlpool, but a real whirlpool. Under the power of this energy whirlpool, a large number of instruments in the laboratory gradually floated up and began to rotate around the white metal plate. Under this force, a large number of circuits that were still in operation suddenly broke, and large sparks burst out from the broken circuits. Not only that, this energy whirlpool is even getting more and more intense, with a tendency to form a big storm. Jiang Xiaofeng forced the dangerous trigger out of the groove against the energy whirlpool. In an instant, the storm subsided, and only the messy laboratory proved that everything just now was not a dream. The energy of this white metal plate is really scary. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the messy laboratory and couldn't help but smacked his lips. Jiang Xiaofeng knew that the scene in front of him was not even the tip of the iceberg of the white metal plate. The reason for all this is that the power of the white metal plate becomes active after it is connected to the dangerous trigger. If Jiang Xiaofeng had not stopped the experiment, it would have definitely caused a big storm. TSK, it's a bit difficult. In other words, if this experiment is to continue, the location may need to be placed in the center of the tornado. In fact, the problem is not big, just find a way to reinforce the laboratory. As for personal safety, the worst case scenario is to maintain the transformation state throughout the process. The only problem is that the fingers after the transformation are a bit thick, and some precision operations are not very convenient. After all, typing with gloves is a bit anti-human. But it is not impossible to overcome. If it really doesn't work, see if Gu Yuna is free. If Gu Yuna is free, he can ask her to help. After all, Gu Yuna is not only a Kamen rider, but also a god-level soul master with a soul power of 100. A simple tornado can't do anything to her. But there is still one thing to do. Jiang Xiaofeng looked around his laboratory again, and saw broken wires, and broken glass shards everywhere. The experimental solution was scattered all over the ground, because of the broken container, and some of the solution had even begun to react violently. Let's go. Jiang Xiaofeng lay down, and picked up his phone to browse. Suddenly, a message appeared on Jiang Xiaofeng's phone. Yunming, the former head of the Knights Pavilion of Shrek Academy, hosted a banquet to celebrate his wife Yali's pregnancy. By the way, because of Tang San's reputation, the name of the Sea God Pavilion must not be used. Because Jiang Xiaofeng, Tang Wulin and Gu Yuna had all studied at Shrek Academy, the Sea God Pavilion was renamed the Knights Pavilion. Everyone knows the reason, and it is politically correct. But Yali's pregnancy is not a small news. After all, it is a well-known fact that Yali is infertile. It is said that, because of her infertility, Yali even hinted that Yunming could take a concubine. After all, Yunming has quite a few suitors, and Leng Yaozhu, the head of the spiritual transmission tower, is one of them. As a result, Yunming is quite loyal, and rejected Yali's proposal. But now, Yali has miraculously regained her fertility. This is exactly what Jiang Xiaofeng expected. According to Jiang Xiaofeng's guess, there are a lot of man-made factors that make Yali unable to have children. After all, her ability has a great restraining effect on evil soul masters. In order to prevent this ability from being passed on, God deprived her of her fertility. This God naturally refers to the previous plane master Tang Heo. Now that Tang Heo is gone, the laws have changed, and the original plane master has returned to power. Yali's fertility has naturally recovered. Coupled with Yunming's hard work, it is not surprising that Yali can get pregnant. Speaking of which, it is said that Dejuna also hinted to Tang Wulin to let him take a concubine. The reason is said to be because Tang Wulin is too fierce and can't stand it. Previously, because of the dark thunderstorm energy, Yunming's cultivation was severely damaged, and he fell directly from the extreme Daoluo level to the Soul Daoluo level. Fortunately, Yali did not dislike Yunming for this, and she was still using her healing ability to wish Yunming to recover his cultivation. But even so, Yunming will never be able to return to the realm of extreme Daoluo in this life. However, all this took a turn for the better a few months ago. Because of the plane upgrade, the upper limit of Soul Master's cultivation has also begun to increase continuously. If Tang Wulin and Gu Yuna are the first batch of Soul Masters to break through level 100, then Yali and other veteran masters are the second batch. Among the healing Soul Masters, Yali has been a record breaker since the moment she broke through the limit of Daoluo. After breaking through level 100, Yali's healing ability has also been greatly improved. The healing ability of the 100 level healing Soul Master, coupled with the increasingly advanced medical technology in recent years, has restored Yunming's damaged foundation. Because Yunming's situation is a bit similar to Gu Yuna's, they are not practicing from the beginning, but recovering their previous cultivation. So Yunming's cultivation quickly reached level 98 again. At this moment, a pickup message was sent to Jiang Xiaofeng's mobile phone. Beehive, use the pickup code 8,888,888 to pick up your package at the Westgate Beehive Cabinet number 2. If you have any questions, please contact the courier 233,233,233 inches. Seeing this pickup information, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but feel a little confused. I haven't bought anything recently. Even so, Jiang Xiaofeng, who didn't want to clean up for the time being, still went to get the courier. He quickly unpacked it and saw that it contained a rather luxurious invitation letter with gold stamping fonts. The content was roughly that Yunming said that his wife was pregnant and they should come together for a banquet. Of course, there was no problem with this banquet, but according to the nature of a certain bastard author, there would probably be some problems with the banquet. Especially at a banquet at this time, there would definitely be problems. But if there were no problems, that would be another story. The time was set for a week later, which was okay, and there was no conflict in the schedule. But before that, the laboratory really had to be cleaned up, and then a new laboratory that could withstand super large tornadoes needed to be built. As for the location of the laboratory, Xingluo continent was more suitable. After all, there were fewer people there now. Energy is running low. Need to stop nearby to replenish energy mines. Then stop here for a while. I don't know if there are any energy sources we need in the surrounding starfields. High energy reaction detected ahead. Speculated to be radioactive energy, suitable for energy replenishment. A large number of traces of life acquisition detected. Speculated that the target planet has a relatively developed civilization. Chapter 245. Flying into space. More developed civilizations may be able to help us replenish our labor force. It seems that this unknown alien fleet has discovered us. And there is a trend of moving towards Daoluo Star. Jiang Xiaofeng sat at the computer and looked at the real-time images sent by the satellite and said to himself, I just don't know what the other party's attitude is. Let's test it first. Tang Wulin was busy trying the perfect quality spirit forging Pandora alloy, and Gu Yuna was temporarily unable to spare time. Overall, he was the only one who was relatively free. However, instead of waiting for the other party to come to the door, it would be better to take the initiative. If the negotiation can be reached, it will naturally be good for you, me and everyone. But if the negotiation fails and a fight is needed, this can also pull the battlefield outside Daoluo Star. Panda rocket best match Henshin monochrome soaring rocket panda form. Yeah, the orange red flame instantly sprayed out from the rocket on Jiang Xiaofeng's left arm, driving Jiang Xiaofeng straight into the universe. The basic form of the creation rider. Since unlocking the double rabbit double tank form, Jiang Xiaofeng has not used it for a long time. First, the basic form's values cannot keep up, and the combat power can't keep up. Second, the functionality of the weapon, the fully loaded energy bottle destroyer, is strong enough to make up for the lack of combat mode to a large extent. Now that the genius form is unlocked, it even has a richer combat mode than the basic form. It can not only use the abilities of all the forms of the creation rider so far, but also saves the time of changing energy bottles. In summary, if Jiang Xiaofeng doesn't take out the basic form, it will probably be left in the warehouse to gather dust. With Jiang Xiaofeng's current danger level, even the basic form can exert a combat power close to that of a Super Daoluo. But the combat power of a Super Daoluo is almost equal to nothing for several previous battles. The straight line speed of the rocket energy bottle is extremely fast, and Jiang Xiaofeng flew into outer space in a blink of an eye. At the same time, the cosmic survival ability of the rocket energy bottle was activated. However, I feel that the speed is still not enough. Jiang Xiaofeng said to himself helplessly. Although the opponent's fleet is in the starfield, where Daoluo Star is located, even light will take several minutes to fly at this distance, and the speed of the rocket energy bottle alone is obviously not enough. As expected, the basic form should just sit there and eat dust. As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng disdainfully took out the energy bottle on the driver and took out the genius energy bottle from behind. Great, oh yeah, genius, yeah, the joystick began to turn slowly, and the metal platform extended out of thin air in space. Are you ready? Jiang Xiaofeng moved his shoulders, and the Henshin emblem of Build Genius was attached to Jiang Xiaofeng's chest, turning into the core reactor of the genius form. White armor instantly extended from the reactor. The perfect energy bottle warrior Build Genius form. Awesome, super awesome. Compared to last time, my strength has become stronger again. Jiang Xiaofeng looked at his arm and said to himself, I didn't notice it when I turned into the basic form just now, until I turned into the genius form. I found that the value of the genius form was much higher than last time. My own danger level, I don't know when it has reached 6.5. Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't calculate the specific strength of the genius form with a danger level of 6.5 into the realm division of the Daoluo world. How to say it, because the highest realm Jiang Xiaofeng knew seemed to be the God King level. At least the highest realm before Daoluo 3 was only the God King. The category of God King is a bit vague, and Jiang Xiaofeng is not sure whether his current combat power is still within the scope of God King. Forget it, go back and ask Gu Yuna to see if there are any realms above the God King, and how to divide them specifically. As for now, let's find that fleet first. Since a certain unscrupulous author wants to make the banquet go wrong in a week, Jiang Xiaofeng wants to solve this problem in advance. Watch energy bottle, time acceleration. Rabbit energy bottle, acceleration. Eagle energy bottle, high speed flight. Rocket energy bottle, universe survival, high speed flight. Tram energy bottle, electromagnetic acceleration. Double rabbit formability, acceleration. Double phoenix formability, high speed flight. At this moment, all the acceleration abilities possessed by the genius form are activated. Because Jiang Xiaofeng only needs to fly in a straight line now, he does not need to consider the maneuverability during the battle, so he naturally does not need to worry about the problem of being too fast to control. Moreover, because outer space is close to a vacuum, there is no air resistance, and the flying speed of the genius form is much faster than on Daolo Star. But even at the fastest speed that the genius form can reach now, it still takes several days to fly near the fleet. After all, this is a movement between planets, and the opponent's fleet is stranded at a relatively edge of the galaxy. You know, the problem of interstellar movement taking too long is a headache for Albert. For this reason, Albert spent more than 10 years on Earth to study how to solve this problem. After all, compared to the time spent on interstellar movement of hundreds of years and thousands of years, a mere 10 years is really nothing. And his solution is to absorb the black Pandora metal plate and evolve into an ultimate life form, thereby gaining the ability to open wormholes at will. That is the monster form commonly known as the snakeskin monster. Of course, the ultimate life forms have no good end. The first one who claimed to be the ultimate life form stopped thinking in outer space. After that, after a certain alien who introduced himself went out, 3 of the mysterious 4 AOS had been blown out by him one after another. He was lucky not to die. After looking at the time, it is estimated that it will take about 2 days to reach the destination. However, the other party seems to have sent out an advance team, so it is possible to meet the advance team in advance. But even if it meets the advance team, it will take a day and a half. In desperation, Jiang Xiaofeng simply activated the automatic driving mode of the night system. The automatic driving mode may not be able to cope with complex battles. But if it is a flight with a destination set in advance, the automatic driving function is fully capable. But even so, these nearly 2 days will still be very boring. Fortunately, the functionality of the night system in the genius form is strong enough, and because the genius energy bottle has the abilities of all energy bottles, it naturally has many strange abilities. For example, the absolutely smooth signal brought by the mobile phone energy bottle. Speaking of which, Jiang Xiaofeng is wondering whether he should open a live broadcast room when fighting in the future. Because the mobile phone energy bottle also has a very strange ability, the combat effectiveness increases as the number of fans supporting it increases with the social software users. PS. Asking for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Chapter 246 Birds. Bird-shit aliens? More than a day, long or short. For Jiang Xiaofeng, who basically can't do anything, this more than a day seems extremely long. Of course, it's not completely unbearable. After all, he has survived 10 years in the Daolo library before, so why should he be afraid of just a few days? As Jiang Xiaofeng expected, 1 day and 11 hours after leaving Daolo Star, the vanguard of the other fleet has appeared in the detection range of the genius form. But this time, Jiang Xiaofeng doesn't have to worry about the language barrier. The genius form can directly transmit his thoughts and communicate in the form of thoughts, so there is naturally no language communication problem. After flying forward for a distance, Jiang Xiaofeng stopped. Because the opponent's vanguard is also slowing down. It suddenly slowed down when there was still a long distance to the destination and there were no obstacles in front. Jiang Xiaofeng could understand the reason why the other party did this. Obviously, the other party found him. "Who are you?" A message was passed over. The other party seemed to be very surprised, and Jiang Xiaofeng could travel freely in the universe without relying on vehicles. Such strength made them a little difficult to grasp. In the end, the other party chose to reply. "We are from the Birdless Star in the M77 Nebula. We are ordered by the Birdless King to come to investigate the surrounding starfields." Jiang Xiaofeng suddenly coughed violently. What the hell? Birdless Star people? Then do you have another 2 KO star people over there? Also, M77 Nebula? Is the M78 Nebula next to your house? Is there a place called the Kingdom of Light over there? This name is outrageous. At the same time, the advanced team was also quickly contacting their main fleet to report the current situation to the main fleet. Main fleet. The Birdless King frowned and said, "Can you judge the strength of the other party? I can't judge, but the other party can travel freely in the universe, plus this way of communicating with thoughts. I think the strength should not be too bad. It must be said that the subordinate's judgment is not unreasonable. If it is just a simple stay in outer space, then it can be understood that the armor has good protection ability. But if the opponent can also move flexibly and at high speed in the universe, then we have to re-evaluate the opponent's combat effectiveness. You know, even a warship cannot move too flexibly. It's not that the performance of the warship is not good, but the people inside. Even if their best performing warship can't reach the acceleration achieved by that strange armored man. Even if the warship is fine, the people inside are probably a meat paste. At least ordinary people can't. In summary, the opponent must have good strength. In this way, let the advanced troops continue to negotiate with the other party to delay time, and then send the 4 kings to surround him. The birdshit king ordered. The subordinates hesitated, but, about time. After all, it took the advanced troops nearly half a day to get to the current location. Now sending people over, the time is a bit late. Even if the advanced troops are good at arguing, can they still argue with this armored man for 12 hours? It's okay. Although the fleet's energy is short, it's not completely exhausted. It's still okay to send them over. At this point, the Birdless King shouted, "The 4 birdless heavenly kings, listen to my order. Here. Prepare to cross the space jump gate. Mission objective, sneak attack and kill the armored man. Yes. If you really want to trade fairly, some of the energy mines on Daolo Star are not impossible to give to you." Jiang Xiaofeng pondered. If the problem can be solved peacefully, it would be great. But this matter is of great importance. Although Jiang Xiaofeng doesn't want to treat the other party as a bad person for no reason, he can't treat the other party as a good person for no reason. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng always keeps a vigilant heart. The other party said repeatedly, "Of course we are sincere. Since you don't object to energy trading, let's talk about the way of trading." Jiang Xiaofeng thought for a while. "You and I are both smart people. There is no need to mention currency. That thing is not hard currency in the interstellar space. Your currency is not circulated on our planet. So, tell me if you have any unique metals. After all, the Daolo plane is really too small in the universe." Although Jiang Xiaofeng's element synthesis method can synthesize many metal elements that do not exist on Daolo Star. But Jiang Xiaofeng can synthesize new metal element, which does not mean that he can synthesize metal element at will. Not to mention the distant past, Jiang Xiaofeng cannot synthesize the metal material of the metal plate of Pandora's box, and can only synthesize Pandora alloy with similar structure. If we can have a part of the existing, almost infinite energy on Daolo Star, in exchange for some new metals that Daolo Star does not have, at least for Daolo Star, this deal is a sure win. As for the fleet of Birdshit Star, whether this deal is profitable or not, it depends on the wisdom of the wise. After all, they left their own planet, and these metals were used less and less. But they had to have energy. After all, without energy, how could the warships be driven? If the other party was sincere in trading with Daolo Star, it would be harmless to give a little profit. The premise is that the other party was sincere in trading. Thinking of this, Jiang Xiaofeng sneered. Just now, Jiang Xiaofeng felt a strange space fluctuation around him. Then, the night system detected 4 more life forms around. Although this life signal only existed for a moment, it was enough to make Jiang Xiaofeng sure that 4 life forms came here through some means of transmission and hid around. In this case, let's see what tricks they want to play. With this idea in mind, Jiang Xiaofeng kept an eye on the surroundings, while continuing to argue with the advanced troops. After a long time, Jiang Xiaofeng and the advanced troops finally agreed on the terms of the transaction, and they just waited for each of them to go back and prepare to start the formal transaction. At this moment, 4 powerful attacks rushed in. The sudden attack seemed to make it impossible for Jiang Xiaofeng to dodge, and he disappeared completely under this blow. Huh. 4 almost synchronous exclamations sounded. Disappeared completely? This is impossible. The power of their attack is very clear to the 4 heavenly kings. Perhaps their attack can smash this strange armored man to pieces, or even turn him into dust, but it is impossible that there is not even a trace left like now. Ninja energy bottle. Generate after images. Confuse opponents. Comic energy bottle. The painting is materialized. When these 2 abilities are combined, it is another ability. Clone. Chapter 247 Space Battle. At this time, the 4 heavenly kings naturally knew that they had fallen into a trap. The other party seemed to know in advance that they were preparing to attack by surprise. As long as this was the premise, everything that had just happened was clear. Since they knew they would be attacked by surprise, no one would stand there stupidly. And the thing that just collapsed at the first blow must be a false illusion set up by the other party through some means. In this case, the other party's true body must be hiding in the dark. TSK, the feeling of going from light to darkness is really unpleasant. Is this what you call a sincere transaction? Jiang Xiaofeng's sarcastic voice sounded in the minds of the 4 heavenly kings. No one spoke, the 4 heavenly kings just looked around vigilantly. Jiang Xiaofeng's voice continued to sound. While there is still a chance, tell us what your names are. In this way, you can at least become a villain with a name before you leave. The leader of the 4 kings snorted disdainfully. Don't worry about your tongue being flicked by the wind. Before letting others hold your name, shouldn't you report your own name first? It seems to make sense. The voice in my mind sounded again, as if seriously thinking about my proposal. Okay, my name is Li Fei. Ahem. You can call me Kamen Rider Found. The leading king was stunned for a moment and didn't expect the other party to actually report his name. In this case, my name is Bird King. Seeing that the leading king had already reported his name, the remaining 3 kings no longer hesitated. My name is No King, said a feminine man. My name is Pull King, said a charming woman. My name is Shit King, said a group of mosaics hesitantly. Ah, what a fresh and refined name. As if sensing Jiang Xiaofeng's thoughts, Shit King roared. Do you TND think I want to be called this name? Talent almost blames me. It's because our king is poisonous, and he insisted on using these words to rank them. What do you say? That this can motivate the 4 kings to practice hard? I don't believe you. Hearing Shit King's confession, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but sympathize with him for a second. However, Jiang Xiaofeng also obtained an important information. These 4 people are just like subordinates, and there is a more powerful king behind them. The strength of the 4 kings has just been tested, and they are not his opponents. I just don't know how that king is. And their fleet should not be underestimated. After all, it can shuttle freely in the universe, and its combat effectiveness will not be too bad. Thinking of this, Jiang Xiaofeng stopped talking nonsense. The abilities of the 5 energy bottles of Rabbit, Ninja, Rocket, Eagle, and Watch were activated, so that Jiang Xiaofeng was behind the 4 kings almost instantly. There is no air in the universe, so the air resistance during high-speed movement naturally no longer exists. In this case, the speed of the genius form will be much faster than on Downlow Star. Of course, the same is true for other people. But this does not mean that people's combat effectiveness in the universe is higher than on the ground. Because in the universe, a lot of perception abilities will be directly abolished. The most common ones are listening to the sound to determine the position and airflow perception. Needless to say, this method of listening to the sound to determine the position is naturally a way of perception. Many martial arts novels have this perception method. And airflow perception means that when an object moves, it will cause the surrounding air to produce abnormal flow. By sensing this abnormal flow, you can infer the opponent's movement trajectory. But in the universe, even the air is gone. What can you use to listen to the sound to determine the position? What can you use to sense the airflow? Not only that, a large number of detection systems such as sonar, derived from listening to the sound to determine the position are also useless. In summary, fighting in space can be said to have advantages and disadvantages. But in this kind of surprise attack environment, where the enemy is bright and I'm dark, the balance of victory will be seriously tilted towards Jiang Xiaofeng. Because of the weakening of perception ability, the ability of the 4 heavenly kings to respond to surprise attacks has also been greatly weakened. Octopus energy bottle, 8 times the fist force. Gorilla energy bottle, fist force enhancement. Hedgehog energy bottle, armor piercing. Electromagnetic energy bottle, armor breaking. Tank energy bottle, armor slashing. For this punch, Jiang Xiaofeng used almost all the energy bottles that can strengthen the punch and break the armor, striving to achieve the maximum lethality. As for the target of this attack, Jiang Xiaofeng chose the Shit King. After all, the Shit King has spent most of his life with this title, and it must be quite aggrieved. But Jiang Xiaofeng is kind-hearted and just can't bear to see others suffer. So, Jiang Xiaofeng decided to send him off immediately. Under this blow, Mosaic instantly exploded into countless fragments, and it was obviously on the road. Killing the Shit King in one blow can be said to have shocked everyone instantly. After the 4 kings failed in the surprise attack just now, they realized that Jiang Xiaofeng's combat power was above this. But they didn't have a clear concept of how much stronger it was. But now, the opponent can kill the Shit King instantly. Even if there is a surprise attack in it, it is enough to show that Jiang Xiaofeng's combat power far exceeds that of the 4 kings standing here. In this case, everyone open fire. Since the 2 sides have already torn their faces apart, there is no need to hold back. The next moment, the advanced troops began to fire crazily. This firepower certainly did not pose a threat to Jiang Xiaofeng. Just as he was about to deploy the diamond shield, something unexpected happened on the battlefield. A silver light suddenly appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, and in the light, there was a faint colorful figure. The colorful figure waved his hand lightly, and a large silver light gate appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng in an instant. The artillery fire of the advanced troops fell into the light gate without exception. At the same time, a large light gate quietly appeared behind the advanced troops. As we all know, 2 intersecting straight lines must have an intersection. Before approaching the intersection, the distance between the 2 straight lines will become smaller and smaller, and finally intersect at one point. After passing the intersection, the 2 straight lines will spread out again. And these artillery fires bombarding Jiang Xiaofeng are like a large number of straight lines with Jiang Xiaofeng's position as the intersection. According to the original trajectory, these artillery fire will explode at the intersection, and no longer extend backward. But now, these artillery fire did not hit any object, but only passed through the light gate. In this case, the straight lines that intersect at one point will continue to extend backward. However, the starting point of these straight lines is the light gate that suddenly appeared behind the advanced team. Obviously, these light gates are space gates with space transfer capabilities. Through these space gates, the artillery fire of the advanced team was instantly transferred to their rear, and then bombarded the advanced team's own ships. The next moment, a large piece of fireworks exploded in space, which looked particularly gorgeous in this dark space. The colorful figure slowly turned around and knocked Jiang Xiaofeng's head hard. A familiar voice came into Jiang Xiaofeng's mind. "What are you doing here secretly without telling me?" Gu Yuna asked with a smile. Chapter 248 Pale Giant Hand. Jiang Xiaofeng smiled awkwardly. "I saw you were all busy. But how did you get here? It took me a day and a half to fly here at full speed." Hearing this, Gu Yuna looked at Jiang Xiaofeng as if he was a fool. "I can teleport directly to you, right? Didn't I say that before?" Well, I was stupid and forgot that Gu Yuna had this ability. "Okay, we'll talk later." Gu Yuna looked at the advanced troops that had turned into wreckage and then withdrew the space gate. "I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling." Looking at the remaining 3 kings who were escaping quickly, Jiang Xiaofeng frowned and said, "Is it because of their king?" Gu Yuna shook her head. "I don't know, I can only say maybe." Gu Yuna could feel the danger. It seems that this bird king is quite capable. At least Jiang Xiaofeng thought so. After all, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't think of any other threats besides this. After a brief exchange, Jiang Xiaofeng prepared to launch a pursuit of the bird Starfleet. Since the other party has already torn the face, there is no need to show mercy. Holding Gu Yuna in his arms, all the acceleration energy bottles are activated. Gu Yuna uses the space ability to teleport herself and Jiang Xiaofeng to the position of the fleet. For Gu Yuna, the maximum distance of a single space transfer is 20,000 kilometers, and it takes about 10 seconds to prepare for the next maximum space transfer. In simple terms, it is a teleport of 20,000 kilometers and a cooldown of 10 seconds. If it is a simple teleportation, the eraser energy bottle can also do it, but the effect is far less powerful than Gu Yuna's space transfer. Not only the maximum distance of straight line teleportation, but also the preparation time for the maximum distance teleportation is much longer than Gu Yuna's. But relatively speaking, Gu Yuna cannot compare with Jiang Xiaofeng in the genius form in terms of speed. In this full speed flight, Jiang Xiaofeng needs to hold Gu Yuna to prevent her from falling behind. Gu Yuna, who was held in his arms, blushed slightly, but no one could see anything through the mask. With this leaping and high-speed advance, the remaining 3 kings were caught up in the blink of an eye. Without much action, the remaining 3 kings inexplicably ignited flames in this oxygen-free space. This is spontaneous combustion initiated from the molecular layer, and it is also one of the skills after the ultimate dragon's ability is developed. This move was named by Jiang Xiaofeng, Supernatural Anger. After dealing with the 3 kings, the 2 move forward again. The main ship is the only one left. Jiang Xiaofeng whispered softly, "If your premonition is correct, this battle may be difficult. It should be like this." Gu Yuna frowned and said, "Be careful, my premonition is getting stronger and stronger." About an hour later, Jiang Xiaofeng checked the satellite images again. "They are moving in our direction." Jiang Xiaofeng looked at the satellite image just sent with some surprise. Compared with before, the position of the opponent's fleet is obviously closer to Daolo Star. Considering the time difference of the satellite image, the opponent may have set off an hour ago. Gu Yuna frowned and said, "In this way, we will soon meet their fleet. It's different from on Daolo Star. Because the speed of light can circle Daolo Star several times in 1 second, it is generally believed that optical cameras capture real-time images. But the universe will infinitely magnify the scale of distance. Many times, what you think is real-time satellite images are actually information from hundreds of millions of years ago. Is it because they already know the information of the battle, so they are ready to launch an attack directly?" Jiang Xiaofeng made a random guess, and this seems to be the only possibility at present. Gu Yuna shook her head. "I don't know. But I always feel that this threat does not come from them." In fact, Jiang Xiaofeng also has a lot of doubts about this inference. For example, why doesn't the other party try to launch a long-range attack directly? And as time goes by, Jiang Xiaofeng himself has a bad premonition. It is a feeling of being all hairy, as if all the hairs on the body are standing straight up. "No, let's retreat first." Without Jiang Xiaofeng saying anything, Gu Yuna has already begun to teleport madly in the opposite direction. In Gu Yuna's perception, this crisis has risen to the level of life and death. Even if Jiang Xiaofeng didn't remind her just now, Gu Yuna was ready to turn around and return. Not only was Gu Yuna teleporting in the opposite direction, Jiang Xiaofeng also turned around and flew rapidly in the opposite direction. Unlike Gu Yuna's perception, Jiang Xiaofeng's perception was more physiological. If you want to make an analogy, it is a bit like spider sense. But compared to Gu Yuna, this perception is much slower. Otherwise, Gu Yuna would not have had a bad premonition so early. At this moment, Jiang Xiaofeng faintly saw a white light behind him. Was it an attack launched by the birdshit fleet? It doesn't seem like it. The birdshit starfleet. Countless white giant hands stretched out from behind them frantically. No one could see where these pale hands came from, only that they were in the back that could not be seen at a glance. The fleet's flight speed had already been raised to the highest, and the alarm sound of energy exhaustion was ignored by everyone. But even so, they were still greeted with only despair. The pale and illusory hands kept stretching out, closing, and then quickly retracting. Every time a hand completed this process, there would be one less person on the ship. The missing person was taken to an unknown place by the hands that kept reaching out. The Bird King suddenly pulled out the horns on his forehead, and a pair of swords extended from the horns and were held in the hands of the Bird King. It seemed that, because his life energy was the strongest, there were many hands grabbing him. The Bird King used the sword in his hand to slash at the hands that were stretched out, but the effect was not ideal. After slashing back one hand, more hands stretched out. They seemed to be constantly taking something from the Bird King, and the Bird King's body became more and more illusory. I don't know when. The Bird King was the only one left in the entire fleet. The Bird King shouted desperately, but he couldn't make any sound. The existence of sound had been deprived of these hands at some point, and the Bird King's sense of existence became weaker and weaker. In the end, the Bird King's existence disappeared completely. The hands finally retreated, and the entire fleet no longer had any life. Only the empty and rapidly advancing ghost fleet was left. Chapter 249. That's Glizer. Just as these illusory and pale hands were about to retreat, one of them suddenly stopped. It kept twisting, as if it was looking for something. Finally, it seemed to have found what it was looking for. As many hands retreated, only this hand continued to extend forward. Here it comes. Gu Yuna looked behind her solemnly. Behind them, a pale and illusory hand was approaching them rapidly. One side Jiaku side all side ready go. The strong sense of crisis made Jiang Xiaofeng understand that he could not hold back at this moment. Therefore, the first move was the most powerful move. Genius finish. 60 energy bottles instantly burst into dazzling light, cutting through the dark space. A beam of pink light shone on the illusory hand, and in the light, the illusory hand gradually became solid. One of the abilities of the UFO energy bottle is to materialize things that do not exist. At the first glance at this hand, Jiang Xiaofeng roughly guessed the opponent's ability. No entity. If there is no entity, there is no way to inflict an attack on it. Therefore, Jiang Xiaofeng needs to give the opponent a physical body before he can counterattack. The full energy bottle destroyer appeared in Jiang Xiaofeng's hand in giant blade mode, and the blade was covered with gorgeous colorful light. Jiang Xiaofeng let go of Gu Yuna's hand and held up the full energy bottle destroyer. At the same time, Gu Yuna also took out the ultimate dragon spear and gathered all her strength in the spear. Ready go, prepare, go, stream finish, ultimate end. At the moment when the giant hand appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng, the giant blade covered with colorful light suddenly swung down. The ultimate dragon spear in Gu Yuna's hand also stabbed the giant hand at the same time. There was no shocking picture. This gorgeous light seemed to be just a simple special effect, which caused a little ripple, but not much. All the energy was dissipated invisibly. Or, it returned to nothingness. The solid hand became illusory again, but it did not continue to try to devour the person in front of it, but began to retract slowly. Perhaps, the previous attack was not without any damage. Or at least, it caused some damage to it in some aspects. The sense of crisis that enveloped Jiang Xiaofeng and Gu Yuna was lifted, but they still had not completely come out of the palpitations just now. What was that just now? Gu Yuna forced herself to suppress the fear in her heart and asked in a trembling voice. Jiang Xiaofeng kept taking deep breaths, trying to calm her fluctuating emotions. If I guessed correctly, it should be Glizer. Glizer. Gu Yuna whispered the name softly. This name was not the first time Gu Yuna had heard of it. But before that, she could only know how terrifying Glizer was from Jiang Xiaofeng's oral description. It was not until now that she truly felt the power of Glizer. Without showing the main body, or even when it might not have been fully formed, it turned the full force of the two ultimate riders into invisible. And this was because of the UFO energy bottle, which could give the other party a physical body in a short time. By the way, can your UFO energy bottle be effective on Glizer's main body? Gu Yuna suddenly asked. No. Jiang Xiaofeng shook his head decisively. Glizer's essence is a loophole in the universe, or a hole in the universe. It cannot be attacked by three-dimensional creatures, but it has the ability attached to it as a loophole. Therefore, I don't expect the ability of the UFO energy bottle to work on it. Moreover, even if we use this trick to attack Glizer, it can only treat the symptoms, but not the root cause. It's like a hole in a piece of clothing. If our solution is to punch the hole, the result will only make the hole bigger instead of solving the problem. If you want to really solve the problem, you need to use a needle to sew the hole. Gu Yuna has heard Jiang Xiaofeng say these words many times. But it's helpless that, although Jiang Xiaofeng has a detailed solution, it is impossible to achieve it at present. For example, they lack this needle. At present, the best way to defeat Glizzar is white hole creation plus universe needle. White hole creation at least has some clues, but this universe needle is really clueless. Speaking of which, the UFO energy bottle has another ability that can be tried: exile from another dimension. If it doesn't work, I can use this ability to fight it. Thinking of this, Jiang Xiaofeng sighed. Forget it, let's go back and talk about it. Huh? What is that? The detection device of the night system suddenly responded, and it seemed that a group of large unidentified objects were discovered. I don't feel any dangerous breath. It shouldn't be a problem. Let's go. Gu Yuna took the initiative to hug Jiang Xiaofeng. The acceleration energy bottle was activated again, and the two quickly flew to the location of the unidentified object. Half an hour later, a large fleet appeared in front of Jiang Xiaofeng and Gu Yuna. Seeing the fleet moving, Jiang Xiaofeng quickly pulled Gu Yuna to hide. Facing such a large fleet, it is not a wise choice to confront it head on. Strange. Gu Yuna frowned. Did you find something? In this tense atmosphere, Jiang Xiaofeng couldn't help but lower his voice. Although theoretically, no matter how loud the sound here is, it is impossible to transmit it. I didn't feel a trace of life in this fleet. No life. Could it be blocked by something? Gu Yuna shook her head gently. I can't be sure, but I think this fleet will not pose a threat to us. It won't pose a threat. Suddenly, Jiang Xiaofeng thought of the hand that they had repelled together not long ago. A conjecture waiting to be confirmed emerged from Jiang Xiaofeng's mind. On the Earth before, there was a legend of a ghost plane. A ghost plane refers to a passenger plane with all passengers dead and no one driving it, but it still keeps circling and circling, and finally crashes. Of course, this is not a supernatural event. As we all know, passenger planes have the function of automatic cruise. When an aircraft malfunctions at high altitude, it is easy to cause hypoxia inside the aircraft. In an oxygen-deficient environment, the people inside the aircraft will soon become comatose and die. If the aircraft is also set with an automatic cruise function, it may continue to fly around a certain place until the fuel runs out and finally crashes. So, this fleet that seems to be sailing normally, could it be a similar ghost fleet? Jiang Xiaofeng needs to confirm this in person. Even if this is a trap, you can escape at any time with the smoke gun. Chapter 250 Return. Let's go and take a look. Jiang Xiaofeng said softly. Okay. Gu Yuna gently held Jiang Xiaofeng's hand. With a flash of silver light, the two of them swaggered into the warship. But even so, they did not see any defense personnel. The two of them turned around the warship again, and found that the entire warship was empty. There were no guards, no drivers, and no maintenance personnel. Not only that, many places still had traces of human activities not long ago. And traces of battles. Unconsciously, a large number of images began to surround Jiang Xiaofeng as the center. The birdless fleet moved forward without warning a few hours ago. A large number of traces of battles. The empty deck. The source of Glizzar's attack was exactly the same as the direction of the birdless fleet. Combining multiple phenomena, a clear conclusion has appeared in Jiang Xiaofeng's mind. Let's go to the cockpit and take a look. As soon as the voice fell, Gu Yuna took Jiang Xiaofeng to the cockpit of the main ship. As soon as he arrived at the cockpit, Jiang Xiaofeng quickly ran to the console to study. After a while, the AI in the main ship issued a standard Daolol language. The highest authority person's information change has been detected. Birdwease, identity authentication. Jiang Xiaofeng continued to study the console while casually speaking. Identity authentication begins. Jiang Xiaofeng, authentication passed. The ship has been transferred from the birdless king to Jiang Xiaofeng. Hello, what do you need? Jiang Xiaofeng frowned and said, as if the continuous noise made him feel a little noisy. You stand by first. There is no need for you for the time being. Okay. After that, Birdwease stopped talking. Soon, a surveillance video appeared out of thin air in the center of the cockpit. This kind of surveillance screen is a bit like a stereoscopic projection, but the screen itself has a physical body. Therefore, this should not be a stereoscopic projection technology, but something similar to nanotechnology. The screen is formed by a substance that can be shaped and changed in color at any time. How to say this method? Anyway, Jiang Xiaofeng feels like a cannon hitting a mosquito. Such high-end technology is used as a display screen. It's outrageous. Forget it. Maybe this substance is a specialty of other planets, and there is so much of it that it can't be used up. As for now, let's use it first. After all, it's just a surveillance video. About a few hours ago, the birdless king seemed to have noticed something, and then suddenly ordered to move forward at full speed. 2 hours later, a large number of pale and illusory hands suddenly appeared behind them. In one encounter, the birdless Starfleet lost more than half of its members. The remaining people, in extreme fear, began to frantically pour out their strongest attacks. But all this was in vain. Even their strongest bird king could not hold on for too long. In the end, the entire fleet was empty, just like it is now. Everyone on the fleet seemed to be swallowed by Glizer. The surveillance video ended, and Jiang Xiaofeng and Gu Yuna fell into a brief silence. They silently estimated their chances of survival under this move, and finally came to the conclusion that there was no chance of survival. Even if the two of them merged into one, they unlocked the miracle form of the Chuangyu. Without considering the white hole trigger, it is probably difficult to resist this move. Therefore, we must find a way to crack this move. But before that, Tang Wulan's proposal must be activated. Although it will take about 3 years for Glizer to be born. But this does not mean that Daoluo must encounter Glizer 3 years later. Before it is fully formed, Glizer's incomplete body will keep looking for Ether Element. And Daoluo Star, which has the energy of Pandora's box as a supplement, will definitely contain more and more Ether Element. In this case, Daoluo Star has a great probability of becoming Glizer's target of swallowing. What's more, Glizer's hand has touched the edge of the Daoluo galaxy just now. Therefore, Daoluo Star must be transferred to the pocket universe as soon as possible to buy more time. After all, Jiang Xiaofeng doesn't know when Glizer's next swallowing will come. Maybe it will be a year later, or a month later. No one can give an accurate time. If you are unlucky, the incomplete body of Glizer may come tomorrow. Let's go back. Jiang Xiaofeng said softly. By the way, take this fleet back as well. As he said that, Jiang Xiaofeng took off the genius energy bottle on the driver, and the genius armor turned into colorful light particles and dissipated. Even so, Jiang Xiaofeng did not feel any discomfort. You can also cancel the transformation. The gas composition here is basically the same as the atmospheric composition of Daoluo Star. As he spoke, Jiang Xiaofeng began to modify the route destination. Although it was his first time to operate, Jiang Xiaofeng was as skilled as an old driver, Bushi, who had practiced for 2.5 years. Looking at Jiang Xiaofeng's busy figure, Gu Yuna slowly took off the energy bottle. The knight armor was removed, and Gu Yuna's own dress was revealed. It can be seen that Gu Yuna must have dressed up carefully before coming. The long skirt with white as the main body was embellished with a little purple. Combined with Gu Yuna's silver hair, the overall look is quite elegant. The long silver hair seemed to have been specially combed and neatly draped behind her. She was wearing a pair of high-heeled sandals. I guess foot control would be ecstatic when seeing this. Manually funny, this kind of dress is obviously not an everyday dress. If this matter hadn't happened, Gu Yuna might have wanted to take Jiang Xiaofeng out for a walk. But now it seems that Gu Yuna's plan is definitely going to fail. After all, such a big thing has happened. Whether it is Jiang Xiaofeng or Gu Yuna, I'm afraid they will not be able to rest for a day. The destination is set. After arriving at the moon, note, Daoluo continent also has a moon. It will automatically complete the mooring. This order has been issued to the entire fleet and will take effect immediately. Along with the voice of Bad Weiss, the order to change the destination was quickly issued to the rest of the warships with the main ship as the center. Because Jiang Xiaofeng used the highest authority that originally belonged to the Bird King, this order naturally became the highest priority. Many of the materials on this fleet are not available to Daoluo. If they can be brought to Daoluo Star, it will be of great benefit. Not only that, the technology contained in this warship is also of extremely high reference value. Just like the combination of physical technology and soul guide technology can give birth to higher technology, by absorbing the strengths of alien technology, many technical bottlenecks may be solved. Even if it doesn't work, it's always a good thing. to combine the strengths of all schools. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.